Alrighty, folks, welcome on into the Central Committee stream with your host Mike from PA. We are live once again. How is everybody doing? It is a cold December day. The days are short as fuck. Winter solstice is rapidly approaching. All right, what's sunset today? Oh my god. Sunset today in Philadelphia is 4:37 p.m. Boston is 4:13. Today. And this is what I mean about, like, come on, man. I missed my 41 stream streak by missing the stream on Friday. That's your fault. Didn't have missed the stream. We covered this last week. Donald Trump is basically doing the thing I said that Joe Biden could easily do, because Donald Trump is exercising his powers. And a lot of people are just conservative. It's a great morning because the first poll of Zoran's favorability and support. New Yorkers back Mamdani's push for free childcare. Poll shows a Siena University poll showed the voters support having wealthy New Yorkers pay more in taxes to fund childcare statewide. As Zoran Mamdani, the mayor-elect of New York City, prepares to go to battle in the state capitol over his campaign promise to provide universal government-funded childcare, he appears to have New Yorkers on his side. A poll released by Siena University on Tuesday found that 2 in 3 voters across the state favor the new benefit and would support Mr. Mamdani's plan to pay for it by increasing taxes on those earning more than $1 million a year. The left is dramatically more popular. If you actually pursue strong left-wing policies, you will be more popular. Mr. Mamdani's favorability ratings statewide and in New York City have markedly moved up since his victory over Governor Andrew Cuomo. I predicted this would happen. I said once he wins, a bunch of the people that voted against him were voting for what they thought was another Democrat. And at the end of the day, he has room to grow. So he's at 50 point whatever percent with all the centrist Democrats against him, with all that billionaire money. Once he wins, it's going up from there. 46% of voters have a favorable view of him compared to 31% who view him unfavorable. Voters were split 40-40 in the poll last month. It's fucking Jover for the centrists. And that's really what today's stream is about. We have the Erika Kirk. We're finishing that Unhinged interview. She's like psycho. The United States of America is bombing more boats, this time in the Pacific Ocean. Portugal has launched a general strike. The Chinese Navy is unstoppable. And Christian nationalism is doomed to fail. She married Charlie Kirk. Did you expect her not to be a psycho? No, of course I did. Don't be a not surprised guy. Unless you predicted it before and you could show me a tweet of yours or some sort of evidence that you said something before it's happening right now. Don't pretend like you're not surprised. I'm a cringe chin nationalist. Me too. Do you think Vance started wearing eyeliner because of Erika Kirk? Here's the thing. If you want to wear guy liner, that's fine. It's actually, no, it's gay. Don't do that. Oh, that's horrible. Men should not do facial care or haircuts or working out or dressing nice. No, men shouldn't do any of that stuff. That's gay. No straight man should ever do that. Every straight man should just be like Asmongold, okay? Except for me, because, you know, I'm enlightened. Yeah, we need to make sure that I look good in comparison to other men. I do denim skincare routine and it's fire. Oh, can we get Mike and drag? I don't have that. I'm not a theater kid. What the fuck is the camera doing? What the hell? Unlock me. The fuck were you doing, bitch? My CIA agent was playing with my camera. I'm not a theater kid in the sense that I don't really want your attention. You know what I mean? Like I'm not desperate for your attention. I got enough love growing up, you know? If anything, it's the opposite. I feel like people are trying to talk to me too much. You know what I mean? Like, it's okay. Bitch, you said you would stop using bitch. I said I want to work on using it less. I never made a false promise that I'm going to, you know, completely be able to stop saying it. Also, I think bitch is a little bit different because, like, if you're calling yourself a bitch, like, that's not it's not misogynistic to do that. I think calling a woman a bitch is not a good idea. Can you finish the FD signifier video, pretty please? Oh, damn it. Yes, that's a good video too. You're good at a lot of things, but you would be good at drag. Yeah, that's what I was getting at. I'm not a theater kid. I don't have that kind of like energy. I love theater kids. They're great, but it's just not me. Look at what this guy said about China 3 years ago.
China has 10 years to go.
At most.
What do you mean by that?
Well, we now know that they've lied about their population statistics.
No, we don't.
They overcounted their population
No, they didn't.
by over 100 million people.
No, they didn't.
All of whom would have been born since the one-child policy. So this is one of those places where they've got more people in their 60s and their 50s and their 40s and their 30s and their 20s.
Now, what was the logic behind the one child? Was it that they were overpopulating?
Mao was concerned that as the country was modernizing, the birth rate wasn't dropping fast enough, and that the young...
That's not it. It was Attenborough and a bunch of Western liberals went to Deng Xiaoping and said, overpopulation is killing the planet. We need to save the environment. So could you stop allowing the, people, like, he doesn't even know. It was David Attenborough in a conversation with Deng. How the fuck do these idiots go on TV and they don't even know anything? It was David Attenborough? Yes. Jesus Christ. David Attenborough made a personal appeal to Deng, and it's the worst policy the Chinese Communist Party ever enacted was the one-child policy, because they listened to Western liberals. It was fucking stupid, because he doesn't understand. David Attenborough has this like British misanthropy, which I like him, but he does good documentaries, and I like nature, but he does have this very British imperialist, the Browns are kind of ruining the planet attitude. It's very typical green. By the way, Attenborough stands by the one-child policy. He said China did it wrong.
Generation was literally going to eat the country alive. So they went through a breakneck urbanization program which destroyed the birth rate. At the same time, they penalized anyone who wanted to have kids. And both of those at the same time have generated the demographic collapse we're in now. And
the problem with that also was that they wanted male children.
Yeah, there's a cultural aspect to that too. And obviously men can't have kids on their own.
And what is the ratio to men to women in the younger people in China now?
For the data revision with the last set of lies, it was about 1 to 1.2. It was the most distorted in the world, even more than Sri Lanka, where there had been a for 30 years. Since then, we don't have good sex-by-sex data, but it's undoubtedly.
And so what are the other problems that they're encountering that leads you to believe that they
Again, Chad, whatever somebody says, undoubtedly, clearly, whatever, they better immediately be providing you with good evidence, especially when they're making a big claim. Again, one of the like smartest little offhanded quips a law professor made to me in law school was, whatever somebody says clearly or obviously or undoubtedly or any of these type of terms, your radar dish should immediately go up, and you should be looking for really good data or citations. If they just move on, that means there's no fucking evidence for what they're saying and they're lying.
Without young people, we've seen their labor costs increase by a factor of 14 since the year 2000. So,
by the way, chat, their labor costs increased by a factor of 14 means their wages are going up. Their wages have gone up by a factor of 14. That's what he's saying. And they're implying that's bad.
So Mexican labor is now 1/3 the cost. Their educational system focuses on memorization over skills. So
this is just trading off of tropes and half-heard conventional wisdom said in a podcast voice. Are you going to Trump classifying Fent as a WMD today? Every Republican is Bush. Every Republican is fucking Bush. Except Trump is just rude Bush. They're all the same. They use the same exact words.
So despite $1 trillion of investment in a bottomless supply of intellectual property theft, they really haven't advanced technologically in the last.
This is what listening to Joe Rogan does for your brain.
Mexicans.
I'm sorry. In case you didn't understand, China is now leading in innovation in almost every single area of advanced technology. The only areas of advanced technology the United States still leads in is like, I think it was like RNA vaccine technology. What was the other one? There's like 3 things out of like 30 major technology sectors.
labor is probably about twice as skilled as.
Remind us again of the congressional committee that found no substantial IP theft. When you actually look into the IP theft stuff, at most you'll find corporate disputes. Like this whole IP theft thing is rampant is bullshit. Unless you're talking about people doing like knockoff Gucci bags, which I don't know if you know this, have always existed. It happened in America too before China ever produced anything. I remember. You could always go to Canal Street and get knockoffs, and that's before we started to trade with China. This is just bullshit. If you're talking about, oh, we have a leather bag, but there's a Gucci label on it, that's my IP. Like, I'm sorry, chap, but that's laughably stupid. And the biggest American companies, Microsoft and Apple, were literally born off of stealing IP or abusing IP. Microsoft existed because Bill Gates sold an operating system without having an operating system, and then he just went and bought an operating system from some guy and only gave him 50 G's. That's called MS-DOS. The first operating, like what made Bill Gates a millionaire is the fact that he just tricked a computer engineer out of his own IP. Microsoft stole from Apple the GUI interface, graphical user interface for Windows, which you know, that should piss off Apple, except the fact that Apple stole the GUI interface from Xerox. So like literally all of it is IP. It is all theft going down. The computer mouse is a Xerox invention. This is the reality. Like this IP theft thing is bullshit. Also, who gives a fuck? IP, can we just say this? IP is arbitrary. We make it up. Maybe it should be, I think we should have some amount of IP. I think the authors or creators of original works should get the right to profit off of their original work for some period of time. And when I say profit, I mean get compensated for, okay? But the idea that Mickey Mouse should be copyrighted for 3,000 years is fucking absurd. So there has to, so right now, American intellectual property law is totally out of whack. I mean, Zuckerberg stole Facebook. I mean, of course. The mother of all demos was a landmark computer demonstration named retroactively of developments by the Stanford Research Institute's Augmentation Research Center. The 90-minute live demonstration featured the introduction of a complete computer hardware and software system called the Online System, or more commonly NLS, which demonstrated for the first time many of the fundamental elements of modern personal computing, including Windows, hypertext, graphics, efficient navigation and command input, video conferencing, the computer mouse, word processing, dynamic file linking, revision control, and collaborative real-time editor. Engelbart's presentation was the first to publicly demonstrate all these elements in a single system. The demonstration was highly influential and spawned similar projects at Xerox PARC in the early 70s. The underlying concepts and technologies influenced both Apple Macintosh and Microsoft Windows graphical user interface operating systems in the 80s and 90s. Guys, influenced, guys. They're influencing now. They're influencing now. It's influencing when we steal it. It's intellectual property theft when the Chinese use it. God, that's amazing.
Chinese labor now, even though it's one. They've consolidated into an ethnic-based, paranoid, nationalistic cult of personality, and it's very difficult for the Xi administration to even run it because it's not an administration anymore. No one wants to bring Xi information on anything. So we now have tech barricades that prevent the Chinese from buying the equipment, the tools, or the software that's necessary to make semiconductors. In fact, he went so far as to say any Americans working in the sector have to either quit or give up their American citizenship. Every single one of them either...
That's what Biden did.
...was transferred abroad within 24 hours. So the tech system is stalled. They don't have the young people to go consumption-led. They're completely dependent on the U.S. Navy to access international trade. They are the most vulnerable country in the world right now. And based on how things go with Russia, we're looking at a significant amount of raw materials falling off the map, specifically food and energy. And the Chinese are the world's largest importer of both of those. So there's no version of where China comes through looking good. And the challenge for the rest of us is to figure out how do we, in as smooth and quick as a process as possible, figure out how we can get along without them, because they are going away, and they're going away this decade.
Now, the reason why he's on TV is because he's saying what white people want to hear. So this guy got on the Joe Rogan podcast because he said what white people want to hear, which is that don't worry about China, they're going to fall off. In the 3 years since this video, China has accelerated in everything and now has some of the leading AI models. They now produce more electricity than the United States, European Union, Japan, and India combined. And it's growing at an exponential rate. They're electrifying their economy. They've built 40,000 miles of high-speed rail. They are solving the Malacca dilemma. They just launched an three electromagnetic catapult heavy fleet carrier, a flat top, to join their 2 ramp carriers. They're currently constructing, they have a naval capacity that is thousands of times better than the United States now. Meanwhile, the United States just canceled yet another light surface ship in the Constitution class frigate, which was just canceled after $2 billion spent. And if you're like, okay, Mike, those are high level ideas. What's it like to be a Chinese citizen? Well, this is what it's like.
How much does it cost to see a doctor in China if you don't have insurance? Don't drop your jar. This morning I realized I was running out of my meds, so I booked an appointment. Just 45 minutes later, the visit fee? Around $2. Yep, that's what you pay without insurance. I booked online, checked in at the self-service kiosk. My insurance covered everything, so I didn't pay a cent. In China, if you work more than 20 hours a week, you automatically get a national medical insurance. Most conditions are covered, and the more serious your illness, the higher the reimbursement rate. Medical bills here don't bankrupt people, even if you don't have insurance. When it was my turn, the doctor reviewed my records and refilled my prescription. I do a blood test every 3 months just to make sure everything's fine. The total, medication and blood test together, was about $15. And since I have insurance, even that $15 was fully covered. This is a blood test center. Usually the results show up on your phone within 1 or 2 hours. And here's the pharmacy. After we make the payment, it takes about 5 minutes for your medicine to arrive through a conveyor belt right to the pickup window.
Okay, so maybe the medical system is looking pretty good. Nobody can compare to America on our infrastructure. 1,500 workers complete a train station in 9 hours. They start at 6:30 p.m. so they wouldn't interfere with the next workday. Start at 6:30 p.m. ended at 3 a.m.
分了7个工作面，同步推进施工。
I think one of the things that makes Americans cope the hardest is they just can't understand what it feels like. These are the free lunches at the Chinese schools. I mean, what can you even say? What can you even say about this fraud? What's his name? Peter Zihan has predicted 10 of the last 2 Chinese economic crashes. 7 more years until China's collapse. Hey, Mike, is the Francis Scott Key Bridge in Baltimore that got totaled last year by a cargo ship rebuilt yet? No. A new type of bank, 24-hour food banks, emerged on the streets of Shenzhen. These special refrigerated cabinets are stocked entirely with expiry food items donated by nearby supermarkets and bakeries. All goods are provided free of charge to those in need, offering immediate support while combating food waste. From opening until 8 p.m. daily, priority access is given to such people as low-income families, people with disabilities, children in need, elderly individuals who have lost their only child, and outdoor workers. After 8 p.m., any remaining items are made available to all Shenzhen residents. To ensure freshness and safety, all food is delivered, sorted, and restocked on the same day with each item clearly labeled for use today. The cabinets are regularly sanitized and volunteers perform item by item checks to maintain quality and hygiene. In America, they mostly just throw out the food. If it's getting to be near expiration and you're at a supermarket, they just throw it in the dumpster. Mike, oil is dropping fast. Yeah, I don't know if you guys saw, but the unemployment rate came out and was not good. Payrolls rose by 64,000 in November after falling 105,000 in October. Delayed job numbers show. Consumers are feeling gloomy about the economy. Oil drops below $55 a barrel, its lowest level since early 2021. That was during the COVID lockdowns. Oh my Lord. Remember the day that it went negative, chat? December of 2019? There was a day oil went negative, chat. They would pay you to take oil. The problem is you had to actually be able to take the oil, or they'd sue you. So you had to be able to take the oil. So you could just take the contract. A lot of people started freaking out because they're just middlemen and they don't have any actual ability to receive the contracts. So when the contracts started to go negative, a bunch of like Wall Street people were fucked, because that's why it became negative, because they couldn't afford to fulfill their end of the contract, which is to receive the oil. So they were like trying to give them away. I wonder if tanking oil prices has anything to do with Venezuela. Oil prices plummeting post-2008 recession is what caused the OG collapse of Venezuela. In Rhode Island, if the Mount Hope, Newport, or Jamestown bridges fell, it would decimate the entire state from maybe Providence and the northern towns or Littlebrook, Massachusetts, and we wouldn't even have the funds to rebuild it. We're on such a great trajectory. Okay, first of all, we have the funds. I want you to understand, chat. We have the funds. How do lawsuits work in China? The same way they work in the US. You sue someone in court. White House Chief of Staff says Trump has alcoholic's personality, shits on JD Vance, Elon Bondi, and more. Over the course of 11 interviews, Ms. Wiles offered pungent assessments of the president and his team. Mr. Trump has an alcoholic's personality. I don't know if you guys have ever, if you've never been blessed to have an alcoholic in your life, let me tell you, it sucks. Alcoholism leads to like the absolute worst parts of someone coming out. Do they have some insecurity? Well, if they're an alcoholic, they're gonna scream at you about it for hours on end. Do they have trouble controlling their emotions? They're gonna be blubbering 24/7. Do they have a responsibility that they need to maintain? They're gonna forget about it. They're gonna lie. I mean, it is bad. Alcoholism is fucking terrible, and it's gonna age them horribly, as unbelievably fast. If you have an alcohol problem and you're watching my stream, quit. You need to check yourself into rehab and quit immediately, because it is bad. And everybody knows. You're not tricking anyone. You can literally smell it. You can smell it come out and off of your skin and breath. And I don't say this to be a dick. I say this just to be honest with you. It's only a few gin and tonics a night, Unk. Alcohol is bad for you no matter how little you drink. I'm not even anti-alcohol. I'm just telling you that's the reality. Liver transplant here. Alcohol fucked me. Glad that you were able to get the liver. Speaking of drugs and aging, I asked my dad how old he thought Pedo Troll was, and he said 55. Klein, honestly, Ethan Klein looks worse than my dad, who is now like in his 70s. Literally. My dad has a better hairline, is in better shape, without a doubt. Without a doubt. My dad, without a doubt. 8 months clean and sober? Hell yeah, brother. 7 days sober? Hell yeah, man. Just remember that you could do this. You can do this. I don't like soju. I'll be honest. I think soju sucks. I gotta be honest. This is my most controversial take, but I don't like soju. It's like, I'd rather just have liquor. I'd rather have liquor or, a low alcoholic beverage. Soju just sits in this perfect area where it's like, sucks. I don't know what else to say. It's not like you're drinking it for the flavor, haha. What am I, a teenager? I'm a 40-year-old man. If I'm picking at alcohol, I'm gonna like the flavor. What the fuck are you talking about? I like yogurt soju. I haven't tried that before. What am I sipping on in my local Korean barbecue then? Honestly, probably a cloud. Did I see the new Asmongold video? No. Honestly, the thing about Asmongold is there's really nothing to say. There's really nothing to say. All Asmongold could do, he's too much of a pussy to talk about any idea because he's a fucking rat. So has he ever talked about a single idea? And anyway, I just have to sit back and wait. He's not going to last that much longer. I mean, the air in his fucking polluted house is doing severe damage. He's got senile squalor syndrome and probably a frontal lobe lesion. Has he commented on the fact that he has senile squalor syndrome yet? Then I'll watch one of his videos. Asmongold looks like a medieval serf. No, he doesn't. Medieval serfs had drip. They had drip. Are you fucking crazy? They had fucking drip. Look at these cool ass hoods. They were dripped the fuck out. Like, look at these guys threshing the wheat. They fucking dripped out. They had cool little caps and stuff. Asmongold wears like a rotting, low-cost white t-shirt that's yellowed from filth. Your obesity will probably get... I'm not even obese. I weigh 169. Like, I'm not even obese. They think they have one bad picture of me. They think I have one bad picture of me of 2 years ago. And they think that means I'm obese. You can see me right here. You can see me right here. We're like, what are you talking about? Asmongold is dying right now. It is a rotten room with senile squalor syndrome. You're a fan. Got to get down to 167. Yeah, I started adding some creatine in my protein. So I think I picked up a couple pounds of water weight just to help me continue my progression. You know, I've been slowly increasing. I've been increasing my like lifts, you know, by 5 or 10 pounds every time I'm in the gym, you know, just so I can continue that. So I wanted to make sure that I had that energy for the last set, you know, so I started adding some creatine. So not to be a chatter, but if you're taking in 5 grams of creatine, you should be drinking plenty of water. I basically drink water all stream. You know, I have these drink mates. So I just drink, I drink lots of water. Bubbly water. Did Denims really hug a stranger while she was covered in sweat at the gym? She said to ask you. You're gonna have to show me a clip before I make any comments. Show me a clip of Denims talking about the gym, and then I will comment on the Denim gym take. I have 10 grams of creatine. It starts to improve cognitive function. Is that true? I do 5 grams, but maybe I should take 10. You are in the latest Asmongold video. That's it? Oh, I'll have to check this out off stream, chat, and then it'll be fun. God, my life is so much better than Asmongold's. It's fucking crazy. It's so fucking crazy how much better my life is than Asmongold's. Check my last message. I made a gift for you in chat. I wish I could explain to you how much better it is. I like to keep some things private. He's a chud and it's not science based, but I always recommend Ripto's starting strength for beginners. Yeah. 10 ain't enough. 10 seems like a lot. That's a lot. All right, let's keep going. Anyway, what else was I saying? Oh, okay, yeah. The Portugal mass... Let's finish the Erika Trump thing, and then we'll move on. Not Erika Trump. I keep saying that. Erika Kirk. I keep saying Erika Kirk. I keep saying Erika Trump, but it's really Erika Vance.
A father whose daughter was murdered in cold blood because of who she was. He's here. Also, political violence.
Does she think she's good on TV? Okay, all right. The one thing about glasses is that if your face is a little crooked, which some of us are cursed with a little bit of non-symmetry, right? The thing about glasses is they can kind of highlight when your face is not symmetrical or your ears are crooked. And I gotta say, she should wear contacts. Cause wow, her face is looking wonky with the eyebrows being out of, like, one eyebrow is like significantly higher than the other. Her cadence and tone sound so fake and inauthentic and try hard. The word you're looking for is called stilted. That's the word you're looking for. But yes, she's incredibly stilted.
And the conspiracy theories surrounding Charlie Kirk's assassination.
I hope you don't mind me being a little bit of an asshole to these people, but when you're a genocidal Zionist Israeli spy like Barry Weiss, and you're put into CBS News in order to manufacture propaganda for Israel. Also, notice that Asmongold has nothing to say about this because he doesn't even talk about politics. He's just a disgusting rat. The thing with Asmongold is he doesn't understand is, how come I never see Asmongold anywhere? I know Tectone is off the internet now because, you know, is Tectone even posting on YouTube anymore? Is he still posting his botted slop on YouTube? Or is he done?
Nation. Stay with us. Stay with us.
Oh man, the slop is starting, the bots are starting to die out. Ludwig, Miskiff, Lawsuit, Cutie Cinderella, Pokimane, Nina Lynn, Iron Mouse. Like I guess the botted slop. Is he streaming at all anywhere? Or is he totally slain? Did we completely slay Tectone? So I guess Iron Mouse posting. I guess he was trying to jump into the bungalator Iron Mouse. Iron Mouse had 2 dramas. So, Mike, what about the Turtle Island Liberation Front? It sounds incredibly fake. I don't like appearance attacks, especially on women. I get it. I mean, the highest and best form of myself wouldn't do that. But she's such an evil fucking piece of shit. It's the only thing I can get away with saying. You know what I mean? Mike, do you have 5 million in ARC? Let me just say this about ARC Raiders. I have completed my grind. There's nothing I can do more, and I played too much Arc Raiders. I played a shit ton with Nestle the last 2 weeks on his stream. So if you want to see me playing some games, I've been playing some Arc Raiders on Nestle's stream. And right now, we did trials yesterday. I want to say we played for like 3 or 4 hours, 4 or 5 hours. Saw you got cooked by Asmodad. Can we get a stand up to see the total fatness? Wait, Asmodad tried to cook me? That's funny. I'll have to check the video. Did he do it from beyond the grave? Here's what I'll say. I don't care. Asmodad doesn't know me. I don't know him. He's dead now, so I don't want to spit on his grave. Like, there's really, using your dad that's dead, hiding behind your dead dad, that's sad. Asmongold. The last thing that Asmodad said to Hassan is, "Happy birthday, my king." I guess he was more of like a guy who was after the Hassan thirst traps than he was the politics. Because Asmodad and I, we had, Asmongold, Hassan and I have the same politics. So if he liked Hassan, he must have been there for the thirst traps. He must have been there for the bulge photos. No shade. Because I have the same politics as Hassan. All right, let's keep going.
Never before has conservatism, the ideas of freedom, liberty, American exceptionalism, been so popular on these college campuses.
It ended up proving Asmodad watched Hassan every day. Holy shit. Mike, is that a Romeo mural in the background? Yes.
Welcome back to our CBS News Town Hall with Erika Kirk. Bob Milgram is the father of Sarah Milgram. Sarah was fatally shot last May outside the Capitol Jewish Museum in Washington, D.C., alongside Yaron Lashinsky.
She was in Israel. She was an Israeli ambassador. She was an Israeli state agent.
Her boyfriend. Sarah was just 26 years old when she was killed. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you, Barry. Hello, Erica. Just as our family could not anticipate the pain we've been going through following the murder of our daughter, Sarah, there is no way I can understand the pain that you and your children are going through as a result of Charlie's tragic death. Our daughter was killed because of anti-Semitism, hate against Jews, and hate against the Jewish homeland, Israel. We know about the growth of anti-Semitism on the left, including here in New York City, where the mayor-elect still will not condemn the phrase, globalize the intifada. What I want you to address is growing anti-Semitism on the right, including Holocaust denial, anti-Zionism, and the normalizing of centuries-old conspiracy theories about Jews. Will you here condemn the individuals spreading that hate and speak out clearly enough against anti-Semitism so we can prevent another tragedy?
First of all, I'm so sorry. You and I are a part of a very small, painful, but you're in good company, and I will pray for you. It sucks, doesn't it? Hate is hate. It's evil. Charlie and I have always been very clear on our stance. Israel, Jewish people. It's awful, awful. Anti-Semitism is what healing factor comes out of hating Jewish people? What healing factor comes out of hating Christians? What healing factor comes out in general? Nothing, nothing.
The entire The entire movement of Trumpism is based off of hate. The entire movement that Charlie Kirk was built on was built on hate. The Israeli state is full of people called the Jewish Power Party, which are advocating for the summary execution of Palestinian prisoners that have not been convicted of any crime. As Israeli settlers steal land, throw people out of their homes, and use the Israeli military paid for by our tax dollars. Now, I don't know about you, chat, but I have nothing to do with Israel. Nothing to do with Israel. And if you want to go and steal somebody else's land, I want nothing to do with it. My taxes should not be going to support Israel.
Charlie always would say very clearly, Jew hate was brain rot. He would always say it. We've been to Israel twice together. And to be able to walk in the place where our Lord walked and see the Bible come to life in Technicolor, how could you hate that place? How could you hate the Jewish people?
No one hates the Jewish people. I mean, there are, okay, I should say this. None of us in the pro-Palestinian left hate Jews. What we do is hate 40,000 children have been murdered in cold blood. That's the Israeli state did that. That's what people object to. So why are you asking these questions as if they're like, why? What do you mean? Why are people frustrated at Israel right now? They were starving 2 million civilians.
Why? Because you need to fulfill a conspiracy theory. I'm wrapped in, people say I'm a part of conspiracy theories all the time. It's sick and it needs to stop. We are human. No one is perfect. No Christian is perfect. No Jew is perfect. No Muslim is perfect. We are broken, sinful humans in need of a Lord and Savior. And that's why it is so important to give your life to the Lord. Because once you do that and you fully surrender to the Lord, you have no room in your heart for hate. And so, sir, I am so sorry what happened to your daughter. I pray that does not happen. And I pray that that is something that we can somehow extinguish in this world. But we are living in enemy-occupied territory. And every single day we need to guard ourselves, guard our minds, guard our heart. And the best way to do that is reading God's word. And you cannot separate the Old Testament from the New Testament. You cannot. You cannot.
Bob, do you want to ask a follow-up?
Is there anything specific that Turning Point can do to combat anti-Semitism?
Yeah, so we're all of our college campus and high school campuses, we have these conversations. And our students...
College campuses. If you look at the data, the overwhelming majority of actual anti-Semitic attitudes exists on the right wing with Charlie Kirk and his followers. How many of them have been exposed for saying racist and anti-Semitic shit?
Understand exactly my heart and Charlie's heart and the sentiment of everything I just said. We have Shabbat dinner happening at AmFest. We have individuals in our chapters who are Jewish. We have people that are going to be having booths. We have an exhibit hall at AmFest that are Jewish, that have Jewish organizations. The only way to combat evil, just like Charlie did, is with dialogue and not being afraid to do it. If you have these things that are being said, you need to counter it with the truth. And if you don't, there's a void and a vacuum. And so even though they're a small number, they get louder and louder. So we need to do our best, which we're doing our part. We're going to continue to do our part to make sure that the truth is always heard. We'll amplify it even more. And we're going to do the best we can. But we need the whole community. We need everyone in on that.
Bob, thank you so much. I want to talk about discernment.
Yes.
Okay, being able to separate truth from lies, reality from unreality. A 22-year-old man named Tyler Robinson has been arrested and charged with the murder of your husband. And yet there are a huge number of conspiracy theories, you might call them brain rot, that are spreading right now online about the actual story behind the reality. One, people say that Tyler Robinson was actually a MAGA Republican. Or two, some people say you were actually a Mossad agent sitting in front of me, and you were Charlie's
Barry Weiss is literally a Mossad agent. So Barry Weiss, the Mossad agent, is like, how ridiculous it is for anybody to be accused of being a Mossad agent.
And Israel killed Charlie.
Right.
Other people say that a number of men in the crowd were wearing maroon T-shirts, and this signifies that his killing was an elite airborne operation, whatever that means. They say that the rings on your fingers, which are
my kids' initials, my wedding band, the Medal of Freedom, my engagement ring.
But apparently they...
What the fuck? It's so gaudy. I'm sorry, they're so gaudy.
Symbolize some kind of secret plot There's also a new theory that Egyptian aircraft have been tracking you. What is going on? Why are there so many conspiracies spreading about what seems to be a pretty open and shut case?
This is the first time that we have seen evil on display where we have social media at our fingertips. Something so evil that happened, people are wanting answers immediately. They are wanting to figure out how to wrap their mind around this. Egyptian planes.
Egyptian
Egyptian
Do
planes.
you believe that Tyler Robinson murdered your husband?
Yes, I do.
Why do you think it is so hard for so many people to believe that reality?
Because it's too simple. Again, everyone always has to think there's more to the story. Well, sometimes there's...
Like, this vid has only 72K views. Oh my God. Oh my God. The people analyzing Erika Kirk's CBS interview are getting more views than the actual interview. This is strange and bizarre. Yeah, this isn't gonna work. Who else went straight to the comments laughing, covering your laughing face emoji? The best supporting actress award goes to Bari Weiss. When you defend yourself against things that were never actually said. This is a mess. This must be a parody. Corniest, most fake thing I've ever watched. It's not a town hall. Least genuine interview. Bari Weiss is so bad at being a journalist. It's actually impressive. Oh my God. I'm here for the CBS downfall. This is getting severely ratioed. You're lying about the Egyptian plane. No one has ever said not a single comment supporting this crazy lady. Guys, this is what it looks like when your channel is unbotted. This is what it looks like on an unbotted chat. This is unbotted chat. This is what happens when the right-wingers have not botted the comment section. You know what, chatters? I agree with you. We no longer have to watch this. Who here really wants me to watch this? Who is here for me to watch this? I didn't realize it was this. I mean, they have 6 million subscribers. They can't even get 72K views. Is this what the vibe shift look? I called the vibe shift. I called the vibe shift. The other thing is, like, I just want to say one thing. If you're gonna be Asmongold, you're not also allowed to cry that people are being mean to you. That's just never gonna be okay again. You're just never gonna be able to cry about that. Or his dad absolutely trashes your ass. You mean his editor? You mean the editor trashes me? You mean the editor? Hey, Mike, I never heard that Hassan is supportive of a liberal Zionist Brad Lander. What the fuck does he think he's doing? Oh, yeah, I mean, it is because Brad Lander supported him in the primary. I'm so glad that we finally got some Asmongold chatters. It's been so long. It's been so long. We found out what's wrong with Asmongold. He has it's called senile squalor syndrome. Is a disorder characterized by extreme self-neglect, domestic squalor, slow social withdrawal, apathy, compulsive hoarding of garbage or animals. Affected people may also display signs of catatonia. We finally figured out what's wrong with him. You should tell him he's got this. I can't believe Dr. K didn't mention this to him. Definitely one of my least favorite Hassan takes, but you're allowed to disagree with what? Huh? What are you saying? You didn't... What is the take you disagree? Honestly, it's insulting to Diogenes to compare Asmongold. Yeah, well, it says there that it's a misnomer. It's a misnomer. It's actually completely the opposite. Diogenes was a minimalist. He didn't surround himself with hoarded trash. He lived in a wine barrel. He didn't possess things. He didn't hoard, and he sought human company by venturing daily to the agora. So yes, the guy who called it Diogenes syndrome fucked up. It's senile squalor syndrome. The dad has a recorded phone call talking about you, but it's funny to see how his dad was watching you and Assad all day before he died. Wait, really? That's fucking hilarious. Also, the thing is, I'm not trying to be like, here, can I just explain something about streaming real quick? In streaming, there is a circle of people that are all trying to make money by getting as big as possible, and they basically have this kind of solidarity of like, hey, we're not going to affect each other's bag, and we're going to just kind of, talk, we'll be generally kind to each other, right? Here's the clip. No, thank you. I don't need that. Don't link that shit here. I don't give a fuck about his. I don't give a fuck about Asmongold. And honestly, I want to be completely honest. I don't consider Asmongold to be a human being at this point. He is basically just waiting for death at his rotten home. I mean, that's really, he's in his own personal hell. You know what I mean? Like, there's really nothing more for me to say. He's in his own personal hell, and he's trying to hurt people from it, but he can't, because the internet guys that watch Asmongold, they're just not really people that leave their houses. You know, you care about Asmongold because he brings you viewers. No, he doesn't. Actually, he doesn't have any juice. Like right now, my viewership is below. It's normal on path. It's not like Asmongold making a video about you does not really bring in a lot of haters. You'll get like maybe 10. For somebody like me, it's not even really, it doesn't matter because he doesn't have really any juice. I mean, like Asmongold and a lot of the organizations he's been with are notorious for botting the fuck out of their shit. And they think that everybody does it, but they don't. They don't. I don't know why you talk about Asmongold so much, because he is perceived to be one of the largest political commentators online. The only thing Asmon affects in real life is the effect of rabies infections in his neighborhood. Nah, there's no rabies infections. Aren't you trying to maximize profits by only streaming when Hassan is not streaming? It's 9 a.m., bro. We call this a job. Maybe one day you will make your mom not feel suicidal for once by getting one of these, but it's called a job. I do it at 9 a.m. because I wake up on my own at 6:30 a.m. every day. I start my stream at 7 because I'm awake. Am I supposed to stream and by the way, I stream against Hassan every day for at least an hour, if not 2. The fuck are you talking about? This, by the way, this Mike Hassan shit comes from Destiny, because the Asmongold guys, they come from when streaming was full of people that had senile squalor syndrome, or were people like Destiny who would stream at like 3 a.m. because they have, I don't know, insomnia or some other mental illnesses. And so you just like setting a schedule and streaming like a job, to them, they don't understand that. Truly Workers Party talked about 14 rabies outbreaks being tracked. Well, we're cutting all the CDC, so that's going to be good. I think one of the things that's funny is, like, at the end of the day, whenever you have these kind of like Asmongold, okay, the Erika Trump shit, we're done with that. It's boring. Let's talk about how Portugal is having a general strike. My favorite thing about Asmongold is that he's powerless and he knows it. Juiceless. No Republican politicians are hitting him up. How are no Republican politicians hitting up Asmongold? Not one.
Well,
that's
for anyone
crazy.
Trying to get around Portugal today,
even XQC got Trump, and he's Canadian.
It's extremely challenging because of the strike. Planes and buses running skeletal services. The metro in Lisbon completely shut. And here at one of the main train stations in the city, well, there are barely any ever trains and there are barely any people at all. This station would normally be extremely busy, but it is nearly empty.
I didn't know yesterday, but I figured I'd just turn up to the station and see if there were any trains running.
Well, it's not only transport workers that are on strike, but also other public sector workers, including doctors, teachers, nurses, municipal workers. And they've gathered here before joining a march on the Portuguese.
You think Mike doesn't bot? No, I don't. That's why I have 7,000 subscribers, because I don't bot. I'm not like Tectone. I don't need to bot. I have never botted because botting is stupid. I don't want fake viewers for my ego. I want real viewers so they subscribe. I don't want fake. By the way, at this point, I'm big enough. I don't need to bot. You know what I mean? Like, botting would be fun. That's the Rape Toad Asmongold chatter. Yeah. It's so funny that he has to spend so much money botting his channel.
Parliament has been called for by trade unions. What people here are angry about is the centre-right government's proposed...
Listen, I just want to say this. I don't know for sure who's... Well, I know Tectone's botting. Okay? I know Tectone's botting. Like, I know it for a fact that Tectone's botting. But, well, he used to bot when he streamed, but now he can't stream anymore. I guess because he's worried about violating the protective orders against him.
Labour reforms. People here say those reforms would erode workers' rights. They say, for example, that it would make it easier for companies to fire people.
mainly to protest against a huge change to legislation that was not announced by the current government in campaign at all. So it's just very unexpected for everyone.
Now, the government, the Prime Minister Luis Montenegro, has condemned this strike, saying you're bringing the country to a halt, is saying to trade unions, why are you using such archaic methods? The government says it's open to negotiation. Not that these people feel very convinced by that. The government also says that the changes to the law are necessary in order to boost productivity in the country, to make, they say, Portugal more competitive. Natasha Butler, Al Jazeera, Lisbon.
Don't miss out and get the full picture.
So a massive general strike in Portugal because, of course, the Portugal government is trying to do neoliberal reforms. They did he's in the Social Democratic Party, but in Portugal, that is a right-wing party. They lie about their, of course. The PSD and the CDS-PP formed the center-right Democratic Alliance and won a plurality of seats in the 2024 presidential election. Tectone admitted to it, Asmongold admitted to it that they were being botted. Of course, Tectone lied about it and proceeded to bot multiple times afterward. Yeah, claiming... Okay, first of all, let me just explain this about botting, chat. No one bots for you. It costs a lot of money to run bots. So if somebody is not... Like, the only time somebody would bot someone else is if they want that channel to grow. Okay? No one is maliciously botting. Because Twitch, I don't know if you noticed this, but they haven't banned people who have admitted to botting unless they show the bot program on stream. So the PSD is the right-wing Portugal party. And they immediately, what are they trying to do? They're trying to make Portugal suck shit. For the longest time, the Portuguese socialists had kept the far right down. But when inflation kicked up because of COVID, the far right was finally able to make a gain. So now they're facing the consequences of thinking that far right people are going to solve problems that are worldwide. I don't watch your stream, but someone may be botting your stream. You had an average of 600 or 800 bots when you saw an average 30K. Oh, that's so funny. That's so fucking funny. Holy shit, that's funny. We should do... Holy fuck, that's so funny. I'm from Portugal. For context, some of the changes of the labor law here in Portugal, companies will be able to extinguish job posts and subcontracting replace those jobs. Bank hours will become more ubiquitous. These are ways to steal salary for the worker by just accumulating work hours to discount later, make it more difficult for unions to be able to gain presence within workforces. Holy shit. I love the Asmongold chatters. Fuck, they're so funny. Holy fuck, that's funny. They make my fucking day, dude. The chatter has gaming clips. Show me. The funny thing is, if the Statue of Liberty tumbled, Donald Trump would be like, we can't afford to replace it. We've got to spend $900 billion on the Pentagon that is just stolen money. The labor reform won't pass because our populist far-right party will, of course, vote against it because it is now the popular position after the strike. Yes.
That's Lady Liberty crashing to the concrete. But this is in New York. It's southern Brazil. Severe wind gusts toppled this 114-foot replica.
What are you trying to say? This is you can literally see I have no bots. These are just people that are logged in versus people that aren't logged in. This is completely normal for everyone who's a normal streamer. What the fuck are you talking about? You are stupid. Oh, holy shit, that's funny. Holy shit, that is fucking comical, man. Holy funny, that's funny. Fuck, that's funny.
Filipa Castilho has worked as a hospital nurse in Lisbon for more than 20 years. She loves caring for people, but says the low pay, long hours and poor conditions for Portugal's health workers are unfair. Now she fears that the Portuguese government's planned labour reforms will make things worse.
Here's an example of what we're talking about when you're talking about bots. Asmongold update from June 30th to August 25th, a significant number of accounts created in 2022-2023 were present every stream. On August 27th, they disappeared and have not returned since. Here's the account creation dates for viewers that entered the Zakrar stream. This was before the bots were banned, right? These are the account creation dates. This is June 30th. Notice how you have these big spikes of like hundreds of accounts created on the same day. These are your bot spikes. And then Twitch detected these and started to ban these accounts / filter them from the viewership data. So the Asmongold, oh wait, now suddenly all these legitimate users are now gone, guys. Mike, could you do a deep dive into how general strikes work? Ooh, that's a good idea. Let me try to find something. We'll talk about it more. But I just wanted to show you that it's that's kind of odd, don't you think? Like, if you're not botting, and these are all legitimate people, where did they all go?
In Portugal, when nurses graduate, their salaries are only just above the minimum wage. With the cost of living, inflation, I had to work 2 jobs, so I ended up quitting the public sector for private.
Discontent is brewing in the country. Last month, thousands of people protested against the proposed reforms that they say would make it easier to fire workers, increase flexible contracts and reduce some protections. Now, in a rare show of unity, Portugal's main trade unions have called for a general strike. Trade union leaders say the reforms would erode workers' rights, but the Prime Minister, Luis Montenegro, says the measures would boost productivity, encourage investment and make the labour market more competitive. Montenegro's government faces a difficult balancing act, says this expert.
Portugal is still in this very difficult chapter in its life to negotiate between the need to open the labour market and the need to guarantee some rights that workers feel that are under attack.
Filipa is happier these days with her job in the private sector, but if Portugal's parliament approves the labour reforms, she says she worries about what could be on the horizon. Natasha Butler, Al Jazeera, Lisbon.
Don't miss out and get the full picture. Subscribe to Al Jazeera for reliable news and expert insights. Like, share, stay ahead.
Spend any time in any large city these days and you'll see scenes like these. Fleets of riders or drivers delivering food.
Okay, I don't know what the fuck's going on here. The funny part is the government's deflection of the strike's effectiveness, immediately describing them as rudderless in an attempt to discredit the legitimacy of workers' rights. Oh yeah. 3 million workers have joined the general strike, and it's estimated to have an impact of 0.7 GDP just for the first day of the strike. 50% adhered the next day because the government literally mocked those who were on strike on live television. Oh, if a general strike goes on for more than a couple weeks, the economy will crash in Portugal. Mike, did you see the weird Vanity Fair article? I did. Oh my lord. Oh my lord. Susie Wiles, JD Vance, and the Junkyard Dogs. The White House chief of staff on Trump's second term. Oh my god, dude. These are the people that Asmongold likes. He looks at these people and he goes, yeah, they're based. They're gonna make America great again. Asmongold viewers did a meetup.
You know what she said to me? She said, young player, aren't you? And I bet you got hoes.
I was about to bring a fucking can of roach spray out, and then he showed
Stood
me
in the
that.
parking lot of a megastore since.
Fuck, dude. Tectone. He's just a little tectone. Vanity Fair did a Caroline Levitt do dirty. Caroline Levitt for Vanity Fair. Yo, sun damage is crazy. She's not even 30. She's 28. She's 28 years old, dude. God damn, man. Jesus. The article published earlier this morning is a disingenuously framed hit piece on me and the finest president, White House staff, and cabinet in history. Significant context was disregarded, and much of what I and others said about the tea of the president was left out of the story. I assume after reading it that this was done to paint an overwhelmingly chaotic and negative narrative about the president and our team. The truth is that the Trump White House has already accomplished more in 11 months than any other president has accomplished in 8 years. I mean, like, who writes stuff like this? Like, obviously, if you're Asmongold, you might go, yeah, true, based. That's only because you're an illiterate and you don't know anything about anything. Donald Trump cut taxes on the rich, and he's making healthcare unaffordable for a huge percentage of Americans. And then he's going to try to get us into a war in Venezuela, and he sucked up to Benjamin Netanyahu, and he blew $900 billion on the Pentagon. That for, you know, like, what are you talking about? Like, this is just nonsense. And everyone hates him who's normal. and that is due to the unmatched leadership and vision of President Trump. Trump doesn't believe in anything, and he's not trying to accomplish anything. For whom I am an honor to work for the better part of a decade. None of this will stop our relentless pursuit of making America great again. Amazing. $900 billion on the Pentagon. And it's all going to be wasted. That's the thing that's incredible. Our military is like actually losing. It's losing. It is what's the word for it? Readiness. The readiness. There you go. I had to pull that out of the deep memory banks. Average readiness of our troops is declining, meaning their ability to like actually go and fight in conflict. Like 50% of our Navy ships are down right now on maintenance. We're running out of artillery shells, which is like a 1920s technology. Holy shit. Where the fuck is the money going then? And people like what you said about Asmund's dad. What I said he seems like a decent guy. I guess. But I do know that he was a big fan of us.
For a lot of you that don't know Rob Reiner, he's very interesting. I mean, he was a very interesting guy.
What, by the way, you think it's, Mike was mean to Asmongold. He was mean to Asmongold. And here he is. Here's Donald Trump. Rob Reiner was murdered. This is what Donald Trump posted. Did Asmongold say that was bad? Was it mean? Was Donald Trump not based for being mean?
You know, famous director, very much a big Democratic Party booster. The reason why I'm talking about his politics is because he was found dead alongside his wife in his home in Los Angeles.
You know, chat, whenever I think of Asmongold's parents, I'm a former smoker. I quit 10 years ago. But God, I just want a cigarette.
Angeles last night and had an incredibly tragic
it feels like
story
smoke time
at the
in
end
here.
there. The reason why I'm talking about his politics is because the Republicans are talking about his politics. Now, under different circumstances, when a beloved, celebrated Hollywood director dies in such a gruesome fashion, I feel like that's almost like a uniting thing, because we're not talking about Henry Kissinger, you know what I mean? We're not talking about Dick Cheney. We're talking about like a Hollywood director guy, right? He was a resist lib, as many Hollywood directors are, or as many Hollywood figures are, and it's like a fairly normal position. He doesn't have access to the halls of power in the same way that like a politician or even like a political operative has. Although he did do some like political initiatives at attention and things of that nature, I find it really strange that there was any reaction such as the one that Donald Trump gave to his gruesome murder. Now, obviously, we'll first talk about what happened, or at least what we know has happened so far, and then I'll talk about the reaction as well.
Tonight, Los Angeles authorities have taken 32-year-old Nick Reiner into custody following the murder of his parents, filmmaker Rob Reiner and photographer Michelle Singer.
SLA unit, ambulance death investigation, code 2.
The couple was found dead.
It's an
home.
insane
Senior
story.
Law enforcement sources tell ABC News the couple appears to have been stabbed to death.
The Los Angeles Police Department is now conducting an investigation at this.
What is most sad about Asmund Dad tried getting Asmund to be less hateful? I mean, I think, listen, I didn't know Asmund Dad. At no point, I honestly do not care about the parasocial relationships that people have towards Asmongold and Asmund Dad or whatever the fuck. And I'll be quite honest, I don't even give a shit about the fact that Asmongold liked his son. I don't give a fuck. Your son is probably one of the most evil streamers on the entire platform. He's continually he's done multiple partnerships with literal sexual assaulters. He's now a fascist calling for like work camps and prison camps. He wants to he just called for like the killing of trans people. Like, I don't give a fuck if Asmund Dad chatted in Hassan's chat. His son was an evil piece and is an evil piece of shit. I don't give a fuck. And if you do, you're a loser.
Residents here on Chadbourne, and that investigation will continue over the coming days.
Sunday afternoon, LAPD officers, along with the Robbery and Homicide Division, responded to a death investigation at the couple's Brentwood mansion. According to police, once inside the residence, they discovered two dead bodies, a 78-year-old and a 68-year-old. A neighbor tells ABC News actors Billy Crystal and Larry David visited the home after police arrived. One neighbor said Crystal looked like he was about to cry. Police closed off the area as the investigation continues.
And Rob Reiner and Nick Reiner had previously actually worked on a film together documenting Nick's
struggles with drug addiction and mental health issues. That was back a decade ago.
Yeah.
Nick Reiner now being held on $4 million bond. We still have not learned the official charges he's facing. We're expecting an update from the LAPD later today.
Home invasions aren't common in Brentwood. Home invasions in general are not as common as the media would have you think in Los Angeles. Having said that, however, this is not a regular home invasion. They literally have arrested the son. Like they arrested his son as the suspect. You understand that, right? It's not like a home invasion or a robbery gone wrong. The most likely scenario from the details that have been released so far, considering that the son is in the custody of the Los Angeles Police Department at this moment, is that he stabbed them. So I guess the initial press conference that they did was really bad. And ironically enough, it was actually People's Magazine that was the first to actually release the information that it was actually the son that was a suspect here. Rob Reiner and his wife Michelle were killed by their son. Exclusive sources. TMZ was first to report that there were 2 dead bodies found in Rob Reiner's home, but the ages matched Rob Reiner's age and Rob Reiner's wife Michelle Singer Reiner's age. We covered that when TMZ broke that story, and then a couple hours later, People Magazine actually broke the story that the son was the suspect. But the initial press conference by the Los Angeles Police Department was incredibly confusing and people didn't understand what was going on. And then after the People Magazine broke the story, they revealed that it was the son that was arrested, or the son is a suspect. He's in the custody of the Los Angeles Police Department. Rob Reiner and son Nick got into a heated argument at Conan O'Brien's Christmas party over the weekend.
But still not clear on what has happened here. And family members are continuing to be interviewed as this investigation continues, but obviously this is a very large...
Yeah, he doesn't have... he's being held without bail now, for the record. Initially, he was being held on $4 million bail, and then now he's being held without bail.
That's right. And Rob and Michelle Reiner had 3 children, 2 sons and 1 daughter. They were most recently photographed together, all as a family, on the red carpet for the family's newest movie. Rob and Michelle had both worked on, Rob had directed a sequel to This Is Spinal Tap. So they were out there being photographed in September, all together as a family. But it's going to obviously come up right away that Nick Reiner struggled for many years with drug abuse. He was homeless for a time, and that's something...
Okay, so it seems very clear that the Reiners had a big falling out, and he felt entitled to their support, their love. Like, I don't know the dynamics of their relationship. If he was an addict and they refused to give him money for more drugs and he crashed out. I don't think Admin is evil. He's evil. He's evil. If evil has a definition, it's Asmongold. Like, not to keep bringing up Asmongold. If evil has a definition, it's Asmongold. He's petty. He's greedy. He's slothful. He's lazy. He's wrathful. He's resentful. He's envious. He's jealous. He wishes harm on people for his entertainment. What else is there but evil there? How does it feel to be a cuck? I'm not Asmongold. I mean, one of the funniest things I saw is Asmongold. There is another streamer who made a video on Asmongold. And he said that if Asmongold could show 5 women he slept with, that he'll give him $100,000. And it was pretty fucking funny. I gotta be honest, because this is the energy that they try to put out into the world.
Asmongold a virgin.
Come here.
He trying to be with me and my community. Got him learning. He thinking this shit tough. He think it's sweet until we stern him. What the fuck you saying, nigga? None of this shit concern him. Asmongold a virgin. Asmongold don't get no ass. SUC don't get no ass. DDG get hella ass. DDG get hella cash. DDG is way more turn. DDG is way more player. These niggas ain't rocking shit. I got chains and riches and layers. What the fuck is you talking about? SUC, I've been rocking riches. What the fuck is you talking?
Now, my personal feeling about them is I'm not a big fan of any of these communities because they don't produce any content that I consider to be entertaining. But Asmongold is truly the lowest of the low. And the truth is, like, he tries to insult other people, but it's like, look at you, man. How are you trying to call anybody anything? Look at you. Look at you. How can you talk? Like, it's just funny. Oh, fuck. Okay, let's get back to the Rob Reiner shit. I'm done talking about Asmongold because there's really nothing to say. There's really nothing to say. He doesn't have any juice. It doesn't fucking matter. Bought some shit up on LSF. Bought some shit up on YouTube. It doesn't fucking matter. You get 5. What are we at? 5 people? 10 people? That's it? 10 people came into the chat to say I'm mean? Like, is that it? It doesn't affect you at all. I didn't lose a follower. Like, he's fucking juiceless.
That Rob Reiner spoke about.
Yeah, he even made a movie about it. Like he made an analog. Like he made a movie specifically about his son's like struggles being Charlie, right? Isn't that what it was called? In 2015?
Yeah, I think what's also worth noting, right? We learned about this happening, that it happened in the late afternoon local time here in California yesterday. Looking at the jail booking document, you can see that Nick Reiner was arrested yesterday.
Him being homeless and a drug addict is not relevant, Chad. That doesn't make one a murderer.
You just lost a follower.
Make him a murderer automatically, but the police suspect him of doing this murder. So in this circumstance, it's contextually relevant that he did have issues with mental health, considering that this is, you know, it feeds into potential motive.
Well, I was thinking about what it was like to sit down with him because, you know, sometimes you never know what you're going to expect when you're talking to one of these A-listers who's been around forever.
He supports Israel. Suicide icon, Sui idol icon. Asmongold supports Israel. The reason why he attacks me and Hassad is because we are pro-Palestine. And he's like, he allies with Destiny and Ethan Klein, who are both Zionists. Like he is a supporter of Israel.
Who's been out there in the movie making industry, who could doing anything, talking to anybody. Sometimes they might be dismissive, but in the case of Rob Reiner, he made everybody feel at ease immediately. He was cracking jokes with the folks there on the set that day, having everybody in stitches. You could tell that he was a natural born entertainer, and that came, of course, in part from his father Carl, who was a comedy icon as well.
Yeah, I'm not like a big parasocial guy, but you know, Rob Reiner is a pretty nice dude. I mean, he was definitely super libbed up, but I mean, very, very nice guy overall. Like he's not one of these dudes that's like in any way, shape, or form remotely problematic, I would say. And the reason why I'm mentioning this again will be relevant in the upcoming news segment because of the reaction from regular folks, even like in the MAGA base and stuff. It just seems to be like an empathetic person in general, and directed a lot of movies that obviously had tremendous cultural impact. But there is one guy who seemingly is on a insane conquest to make himself look like a real demon in this moment. And that one guy's name is Donald Trump.
Reiner was married once in the 70s to the late Penny Marshall. Then he met Michelle while working on When Harry Met Sally. And that's why the end of the film changed the way it did, because Rob Reiner was newly in love. And then they had a really great working relationship for decades. I mentioned that film Being Charlie that was loosely based on his son Nick's struggles with homelessness and addiction. But there were films that Michelle and Rob worked on together, including most recently that sequel to Spinal Tap that just came out in September. I was inspired by an interview Reiner did with NPR earlier this year, saying that he wanted to keep telling stories, that even in this AI world, that in this corporate Hollywood world, that people are always going to want to connect to great storytelling. And that's what Reiner was able to do, whether through his own production company, through supporting actor roles on sitcoms and movies, or working.
Yeah, his like he had a banger run. Here are some of the most iconic ones, obviously. This is Spinal Tap, following his acting stint on All in the Family, where he earned an Emmy Award for Best Supporting Actor twice for portraying Michael Meathead Stivic, a 1960s hippie Bronx-born. Reiner turned his attention to directing in the 1974 TV movie Sonny Boy, but his first big success came in the 1984 mockumentary This is Spinal Tap, which chronicled the misadventures of a fictional British heavy metal band. This is
such a classic movie, dude.
Incredibly impactful movie.
Personally, I think Princess Bride is one of the best movies of all time. I legitimately think Princess Bride, like if you go back and watch it, is probably the best movie to show kids of all time. Like it is like a perfect movie. It's so much fun. The acting is fucking amazing. So many cool character actors. So many funny line deliveries. I mean, iconic shit. You know, Princess Bride is fucking amazing.
because of like the mockumentary style as well. And then afterwards he had Stand By Me, The Princess Bride, again, another major hit. Fantasy fairy tale, The Princess Bride, based on a novel by William Goldman. It had Robin Wright, Cary Elwes, and Billy Crystal, as well as Andre the Giant. A woman once told Reiner the film had saved her life, recounting how when she and several other skiers had been trapped by an avalanche, she quoted every line from the movie to keep herself and everyone else awake. Lines such as, "Life is pain, Highness. Anyone who says differently is selling something." Then he made When Harry Met Sally. In 1989, Reiner effectively set the standard for rom-com genre with When Harry Met Sally. It paired Billy McChrystal with Meg Ryan as two friends who fall in love, climaxing in one of Hollywood's most iconic restaurant-based scenes. He made Misery, another adaptation of a King novel. And then he made A Few Good Men, the 1992 courtroom drama, concerning the court-martial of two Marines for the death of a fellow soldier. He's just banger after banger after banger. And in his later years, he also was a big Democratic Party booster. He was involved in a lot of political activism surrounding marriage equality, just an all-around empathetic person. Yeah, he was really known for speaking up for members of the LGBTQ community, trying to help lower-income people in various neighborhoods in Los Angeles. So he wasn't just a figure in front of the camera and producing and known for giving us great films throughout the years. He was really humanitarian. Reiner campaigned for early childhood education and healthcare, as well as gay rights. His other movies included 1994's North, starring Elijah Wood, 1995's The American President, starring Michael Douglas, 1996 film Ghost of Mississippi, about the trial of Byron Del Beckwith, who killed civil.
Oh God, Ghost of Mississippi. Isn't that the one about the FBI? Or am I misremembering? Okay, no, this is a different one. Oh, this is the full film. I don't know. Have I seen this one? Am I thinking Mississippi Burning? Yeah, that's the one I'm thinking of. With Gene Hackman.
June the 12th of 1963, an unarmed man arrives home to his wife and 3 small children, gets out of his car, and with his back turned,
the fucking Baldwins, dude,
is gunned down by a coward. The person who pulled the trigger.
Oh my God! Are you fucking serious? James Wood is like, I want to play the character who assassinates a civil rights leader? Bro, he was not acting.
Down by a coward. The person who pulled the trigger and ended the life of Medgar Evers is this defendant, Byron D. Beckwith.
Why do they have to go digging on things that happened 25 years ago anyway?
You persecute a 70-year-old man over some nigger, you'll have everybody in the state of Mississippi lined up against you.
Evidence has been lost. In 1964, you had a mountain of evidence.
Well, as you can see, the mountain has crumbled a bit.
John Goza is dead. Herbert Spate is dead. Bill Pittman is dead.
We have to make the past start living again.
25 years ago, I was on the witness stand, and I watched as the former governor of this state shook hands with the man who murdered my husband.
Are you admitting to me that you
killed Medgar Evers? What if I did?
It's not like there's anything you nor anybody else can do about it. Yes, sir.
My car's been vandalized, my son's been in a fight, and I've been called every ugly thing there is by every racist in the state of Mississippi. You think that this one trial's gonna magically change all of this?
It's a step.
Why do I have to take that step so that some sick lunatic can murder my wife and my children?
Someday they're going to be able to tell their children that it was their daddy who put away the man who killed Medgar Evers.
Castle Rock Entertainment presents Alec Baldwin, Whoopi Goldberg, and James Woods in a new film from Rob Reiner.
I think about her keeping this thing alive all this time. Imagine a woman loving a man so much.
Medgar, I've gone the last mile of the way.
Ghosts of Mississippi.
I mean, honestly, like, I consider that to be a necessary film, and I think the best part of the film is it literally gets white people being like, well, why do I have to do anything? I didn't do it. Like, no, we all do have a responsibility. He literally says the quiet part out loud. He has Alec Baldwin say the quiet part out loud, which is, why do I need to do it? I'm not guilty. I mean, it's what white people say all the time. I didn't have slaves. I didn't do it. Why should I have to do anything? So I have a soft spot for the 90s, like, you know, post-racial film. The desire of, like, looking back and the social consensus that being racist is bad. People like Asmongold are trying to destroy that consensus right now. Asmongold is trying to say you should care about white identity politics. So the 90s post, at least we all agreed that being racist was bad as opposed to based. The framing of white responsibility as white guilt fragility is a huge hurdle to overcome. Also the idea of him being a white savior, right? Like the point was that he wasn't a white savior. The point is that he had to take personal responsibility to do the right thing, even though it wasn't going to change the whole world, and it would be risky to himself.
Rights activist Medgar Evers. The filmmaker returned to the form following several commercial flops in 2007, The Bucket List, which starred Nicholson alongside Morgan Freeman. I cried watching that, for the record. I mean, it might have been a commercial flop, but it was not a flop in my heart. As two terminally ill men who set about fulfilling their life ambitions before they died helped popularize the now widespread titular term. It also is the reason why I know what Kopi Luwak is. That movie is the reason that I know it's like leopard made coffee. I don't know why that just like stuck in my brain, but from the movie Bucket List, I will forever remember. It's just Kopi Luwak, one of the most expensive coffee beans on the planet, is actually just cat or something, or lemur. I don't know. It's poop. It's literally poop. In 2015, the semi-autobiographical Being Charlie, co-written by Reiner's son Nick, looked in the painful relationship between a young man dealing with addiction and his father. 2 years later, Reiner directed and appeared in the 2017 film Shock and Awe about a group of reporters covering the U.S. invasion of Iraq. In 2003, he also played father of Zooey Deschanel's character in New Girl, and versions of his larger-than-life self on TV shows like Hannah Montana, Was a Waverly Place, 30 Rock, and Happy-ish. Reiner, who also appeared as a movie studio executive in 2020 miniseries Hollywood, was once quoted as saying, if you're a creative person, you try to create things that are an extension of yourself. He's done a lot on camera. He's done a lot off camera. All around empathetic, good guy, you know, trying to do his very best, right?
The fact that we've 3.8 million people have lost their health insurance, almost 1 million people have lost their jobs, and over 6,000 people are dead or wounded in Iraq. These are grave mistakes, and we have a president who's unwilling to—
Yeah, how dare he? How dare he say such things? How dare he have an opinion on this? A thing that should transcend politics, by the way. A thing that should transcend politics. In the way that discourse takes place in the United States of America, even historically, even all the way back when he was saying this is still considered a ridiculous political statement. That's how it is. That's just how it has always been in this goddamn country, and that's how it will be forever. But once again, the reason why I'm bringing this up is because this should not be considered like a politically divisive subject, right? One party should be saying, oh, well, we just have a different method of solving these issues over the other. And yet, for some reason, this is considered a politically divisive thing to bring up.
He also advocated for a number of causes, including marriage equality, early childhood education, and fighting big tobacco. Brian, tell us a little bit more about the politics.
Think about that. Yeah, that's from 22 years ago. That statement was from 22 years ago. Have things changed? Or are the problems that he was addressing 22 years ago damn near identical now, if not worse? Isn't that crazy? I feel like living in the United States of America and doing discourse around politics is like Groundhog's Day over and over again. We just keep repeating.
So there is a very famous quote from playwright Gore Vidal, and he made a film called The United States of Amnesia. Excuse me, there was a film made about him, about his famous quote called The United States of Amnesia. There, I corrected myself. And one of the things, like, here it is. Oh God, I want him to just say the quote, which basically is, Americans don't seem to forget what happens every 5 years. Like every 5 years, there's just like a brain dump, and everybody forgets everything that happened more than 5 years ago politically. It's absolutely insane.
My God, I've done it again. Another camera crew.
Gore Vidal has seemed to have always had his finger on the pulse of American politics.
Vidal, as you probably know, has written some 22 novels, along with plays, movies, and essays.
Gore Vidal has been a thorn in the American establishment, of which he is, by birth at any rate, a charter member.
I don't think it's right to present Mr. Gore Vidal as a political commentator of any consequence. In the United States, 5% of the population have 20% of the income.
and the bottom 20% have 5% of the income.
Islam, Judaism, and Christianity are the three great evils that have befallen the world.
And the difference between a homosexual and a heterosexual is about the difference between somebody who has brown eyes and somebody who has blue eyes.
Who says so?
I say so.
His whole career as essayist, playwright, novelist comes down to one thing: the terrible discrepancy between the possibilities put forward by the founding fathers and the actual results of what we got.
The lies which our poor people have been exposed to in my lifetime are just beyond anything that you think reasonable people could accept. But they did. That is when I think I became instinctively a correctionist.
People say that a writer sees the future. He says that's not true. He says a writer doesn't see the future. A writer sees the present. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Gore Vidal.
All right, let's get going.
Whenever I want to know what the United States is up to, I look into my own black heart.
All along, I think the most useful and creative people in the United States from the very beginning is the men who have said no. And many men have begun to say no again, and when the chorus gets loud enough, the people march.
And he had a what the fuck is this? Mexico steroid? Oh, Jesus Christ. These AI fucking ugh. Gore Vidal is the United States of amnesia. Like, and that's one of his famous quotes. I wonder if I could just get that quote.
But using the slogan, they got through the USA Patriot Act, which removes many of our liberties. Nobody made a habeas corpus, due process, and suddenly Bush to get rid of it. Where was a voice on television, aside from mine, that spoke out against this? Where are all those noble jurists, those great lawyers, those lovers of liberty? Where the hell were they? They were nowhere. Now we have a totalitarian, and the totalitarian government wants to watch everybody. Surveillance of everyone. They listen to the telephone calls. They look at your credit. Where are you? We are totally policed. This is contrary to everything in our constitution. Complain about the United States not being Athens. I certainly say we are very good Roman. And the lies are based upon the most advanced technique, which is the only art my country has. Television, and we sell, and president.
Based
ourselves is this like endless spiral, endless downward spiral as we just like constantly fight over whether or not this is even an issue at all.
Yeah, and unfortunately, President Trump is out this morning with a pretty crude, pretty crass post about Reiner, suggesting that maybe somehow he died because of his hatred for all things Trump.
I will say this. I am Mr. Rude, okay? I am Mr. Hold people to account. I'm Mr. Someone's death doesn't mean that you should whitewash and launder their reputation. But there are certain people, and I'm not saying this because like Rob Reiner was like on my side of politics or anything like that. I mean, he was definitely a lot more liberal than I am, right? I am someone who he might have even considered a radical, right? I try to talk about people's background and what they have done with how much power they have, right? With what their intent was and what their impact was. Reiner was simply just a good guy. He was just, that's it. He was just trying to do his very best. He was not divisive in any way, shape, or form. From my estimation, I don't think like even the Russiagate stuff was all that. Like he was libbed up like a pretty basic Hollywood director celebrity who had liberal opinions and rooted his worldview around empathy for those who have less than him. So the very fact that Donald Trump in this situation has come out of the gates swinging because Rob Reiner was anti-Trump is totally repulsive and totally insane. So much so that before Donald Trump came out and made a Truth Social statement, which I responded with, what can you even say at this point? It's one of the most insane things I've ever read. A lot of Republicans were actually on the timeline talking about how, despite Rob Reiner's background, you don't see any conservatives celebrating his death. You don't see any conservatives celebrating his death. There were so many people on the timeline, like Jack Posobiec and all these people being like, remember when everyone was on Charlie right after he was assassinated? Meanwhile, look at how the conservatives are treating, Rob Reiner's death. They all went out and celebrated that no one was actually Rob Reiner. First of all, there's a difference between Rob Reiner and Charlie Kirk, okay? I'm sorry. One is directly a political actor who is a major advocate for all the cruelty associated with this administration and was actively working to get this administration in charge, succeeded, routinely collaborated with the administration, as opposed to like a libbed up Hollywood director who every now and then makes a statement about gay rights and is like
this is the thing that is so insane to me, is that we now live in a society where the president of the United States doesn't like anyone criticizing him, and he goes out of his way whenever they have a personal tragedy to insult them. Like, how pathetic and low is this? Like, there's no dignity. And this is kind of the ultimate, like, if you look at this, and this, by the way, is a measure of intelligence. This is a measure of intelligence, is understanding that the president of the United States is in charge of 330 million people. They're going to dislike you. You have to be dumb and narcissistic to think that you're going to have 330 million people all nice to you and all liking you. And it's fucking weird to want that to be true. It's weird. It is low IQ. And the fact that people think it's based. Like, what? You have peasant brain.
Like, is a booster for the Dems too, right? Like, his major output wasn't politics. His major output was not being political. And even if it was, and I'm saying is not, even if he had a lot more political initiatives, right? Even if he was a political actor, you have to look at what he was trying to accomplish. You have to look at what he's trying to do. It is insanity to respond in this sociopathic manner to someone like Rob Reiner's gruesome murder. Donald Trump, of course, though, predictably, actually unpredictably, because I didn't even think he would go this far, because it's so weird and gross and so repulsive that I think this like will actually be another turning point, another pivotal moment that actually makes his base go, "Oh, you went a little too far here, sir." That's what I suspect, because he came out after some of these details were made public and he said, "A very sad thing happened last night in Hollywood. Rob Reiner, a tortured and struggling but once very talented movie director and comedy star, has passed away together with his wife Michelle, reportedly due to the anger he caused others through his massive, unyielding, and incurable affliction with a mind-crippling disease known as Trump derangement syndrome, sometimes referred to as TDS. He was known to have driven people crazy by his raging obsession of President Donald J. Trump, with his obvious paranoia reaching new heights as the Trump administration surpassed all goals and expectations of greatness. And with the golden age of America upon us, perhaps like never before, may Rob and Michelle rest in peace." I don't even know where to begin with how psychotic this is, because I feel like it's one of those things that, you know, at first glance is immediately like, nah, I don't think the base is going to with this. And even if you're seeing people on the timeline try to cope with what Donald Trump is saying, I don't think the normies are going to with this, because from the normie Republicans perspective, you know, lifelong Republicans, people that voted for Donald Trump 3 times, they just know Rob Reiner as a libbed up guy who made cool movies that they watched and they enjoyed. So when Donald Trump comes out and says something so fucking insane,
the base loves it. All right, chat. I'm so glad. Okay, so we got, this is the most Asmik Gold viewers we've ever gotten. I think we're up to 7. Bro, you know you have an old account, so it's going to be fucking awesome to look into you. Oh, no videos? Come on. You've been on the website for 5 years? On the streamer website, you never went live once? Come on. Not a single time? Come on. Come on. Every fucking time. This is his, like, alt account chat. Come on. Insanity. Are you one of those chatters who, like, tries to find young female streamers that don't have a lot of followers so that you can, like, ingratiate yourself with them? Is that the plan? Is the plan that you're gonna find, like, small streamers, young women, and then, like, ingratiate yourself with them? Is that the plan? Is that your dating plan?
You look at that and go, okay, this is not defensible at all. And that's precisely the reason why Jack Posobiec, before Donald Trump released this statement, was talking about, you won't see the people on the right celebrating the horrific murder of Rob Reiner and his wife.
I do think it's funny when someone's an Asmongold fan and they want to come in and, like, insult anyone based on appearance, them smelling, them being out of shape, or anything. It's like, you're an Asmongold fan. I mean, we all know he's not good at video games or intelligent, but you can't, like, call someone ugly or smelly if you're an Asmongold fan. You're just not allowed to. It's against the rules. His dementia has gotten worse. Oh yeah, Donald Trump is terrible.
compared to the left's reaction to Charlie Kirk's murder. I'm seeing coworkers parrot, they're not online, they're boomers and normies. Like what? Nah, I'm unhappy to report that the MAGA coworkers are barking like seals and parroting Trump this morning. I doubt it. I think this will.
No, they are. I mean, okay. You have to understand, 30% of America are and have been full-blown fascists forever, okay? And I would say that's the majority of white people in the Deep South. The majority of white people in the Deep South are fascist. Like, Asmongold is not weird from where he's from. Now, in the North, that's not true. I'd say about 60% of white people in the North are not fascist. Only about 40%. In the South, it's like 70% of white people in the South are fascist. That's roughly correct. And then everybody, you know, and most non-whites in America are not fascists. They're relatively progressive. And that's kind of racially how you could break it down. You know, so for me, I'm from Pennsylvania. Where I came from, we didn't use, like, me and my friend group, we didn't use the N-word. Like, no one used the N-word. We never did. Like, we were not racist. Like, we did not. We, you know, in 2001, you did not hear N-words in my high school. You just did not hear racial slurs ever. Now, you would hear the F slur. You would hear gay. There were no racial slurs used. I'm sure Asmongold in his household, between his mom and him and his dad, there was probably racial slurs getting thrown out left and right. For him, being racially motivated was probably really normal. For me, it wasn't. For me, if I had used the N-word, my dad would have socked me in the face. My dad would not tolerate racial, like, if I did something like that, he would have beat my fucking ass. And I'm glad. If I had a son and he used a racial slur, that Xbox is getting smashed with a hammer. But I think maybe it was different because I was in high school really before the internet culture was a thing. Before I was in high school, before social media. MySpace was really the social media that was starting as I was graduating. So we didn't have social media. So I didn't have to interact with Southerners. I didn't have to interact with white people that use the N-word. It's just reality. It was definitely the most 4chan-y online person who brought it into my friend group. Yep. I moved from San Antonio, Texas, probably Latino, to northern New York in 2001. The amount of N-words used at fellow military kids off post blew my mind. We would get into fights with local. I never saw that something shit like that. That's weird. We had maybe 1 or 2 kids at high school who used slurs, but they were ostracized. It was just not normal.
This will be like the Jimmy Kimmel moment, or this will be like the ballroom moment.
Maybe I was in a bubble of luck, but it just wasn't normal.
It's not that I have too much faith. I have very little faith. I think
we had no there was no Xbox Live when I was in high school. There was no Xbox Live in high school. Xbox Live didn't come out until I was in college. So I think the N-word shit probably spread with Xbox Live. Let's see. What year did Xbox Live start? Yeah, I was in college. So, like, no, we didn't have that shit. So I think that really did poison your fucking brains.
You guys don't understand what I'm trying to say here. Republicans don't actually cut away from Donald Trump for things that you would expect them to. Obviously, like the fact that
I don't think it was video games that made kids bad. I think it is, how do I put this? If you're raised, like if you go to a normal kindergarten, the kindergarten will tell you, we love everybody, treat others like you want to be treated, share your toys. Everybody's the same. We come in different colors and we come in different varieties, but everybody is equal and don't be mean. That's what you learn in kindergarten. Kind of like the post-racial American, colorblind, you know, generally diverse. Diversity doesn't mean somebody's bad. Kind of. That's the civil catechism of America that you teach kindergartners. Well, when you're a 12-year-old boy, the thing that you could do that will be most offensive and such a bad little boy, the big no words. It's like cursing. The F slur, if you say a curse word in front of an 8-year-old, they're going to go nuts. As they mature to 12 or 13, they start to get the rebellious adolescent phase. And in order to be transgressive, they start using those slurs. And they understand. They don't know what they mean. They just know that it's offensive and it makes people mad. And so to be transgressive, to show how they are a big rebel and they don't have to listen to what mommy wants, they use these slurs. It's not indicative of racial animus. It is a adolescent, it's adolescent rebellion, right? It is adolescent acting up. It's the same thing as toilet papering a house, basically. Now, what happens is racists then take advantage of that. And they start going, well, it's just a word. Why are you getting so worked? Because people get pissed off and they're like, why? You don't know what that is. You need to be punished. And racists are like, but it's just a word. I can't believe the sticks and stones break your bones. I can't believe you're getting so worked up over a word. Words can't hurt you. That kind of shit, right? So racists use this kind of transgressive behavior as a gateway drug to try to convert kids to the alt-right pipeline, right? That's what it is. And so for me, the first thing I would say is if somebody uses one of these slurs around me, I don't let them affect. I never let it affect you, but you should just be like, you're a fucking loser. It's not even, you didn't even make me mad. You just embarrassed yourself. You fucking loser. Probably an Asmongold fan, doesn't shower. Like that is the kind of thing. It is more, they're trying to get a rise out of you. And that is the nature of it. It is a childlike transgression of social norms as a sign of rebellion, and that and the anonymity of the internet allows children to get away with it. And then, you know, that's really what it comes down to. And it's a similar issue with racial humor. Actual racists don't get the joke and they feel validated instead. The other thing is, it's like when people come from marginalized identities where they're constantly being judged for their race, or they come from a culture that is a little bit separate from wider American culture and it has in-group, you know, knowledge and cultural practices and slang as a way of, you know, having a humorous conversation or doing stand-up routine. You could oftentimes talk about the experience of being slightly different, which, by the way, everybody has this feeling. Everybody has the feeling of being slightly out of place. Everybody has the feeling of being a little bit different. Everybody has that feeling of dissidence, that feeling of difference, that feeling of separateness, that feeling of individuality, the anxieties that come from that. That is a human universal. And so, like, people like Asmongold, they're really just arrested development. He doesn't have a wife. He doesn't have a child. He lives in his parents' house that was gifted to them because they both died young. Both of his parents died young from medical neglect. And so, and that is an unfortunate reality of America, is that his parents, because of their poverty, they were not able to, you know, get the health care they needed until it was far too late. And by the way, I'm not saying that you need to have a wife. I'm not saying that you have to have a child. I'm just saying that Asmongold, as a conservative, says that you should have those things. But yet he himself lives like a 13-year-old boy on summer break. I'll be real, I do think you're right on some of this analysis. I went to a mixed high school in the South in the late 90s, and it was decent in school. The Boomer Gen X were so goddamn racist, but us kids were integrated in a mixed group, especially the rural poor areas I was in. The online toxicity comeback and older generations' institutional racism and deep cross-sections of racism never went anywhere. But there was a little less in the late 90s pre-internet generation of kids. Asmon gives life advice like how Nick Fuentes gives relationship advice. Yeah, it is so funny. It's like Asmongold is like a Powerball winner that gives you life advice. That's literally what it is. It's like this guy was streaming and he became this kind of lol cow, and then he became an avatar of far-right politics. He basically won the lottery because he has no talent, knowledge, or expertise in any area that he would actually, like, if he had to get a job, he couldn't hold it, couldn't keep it. But he's basically like the equivalent, the internet equivalent of a Powerball winner, and he gives you life advice.
Affordability crisis hasn't been solved, is chipping away at his base of support from the independents and maybe even some Republicans that are experiencing and expressing discontent.
In my opinion, the youth was really founded with the end of the Civil War. As such, the South is genuinely a different country and political project. Reconstruction was halted and racial hierarchy reinstated without the technology of chattel slavery. I would say that the United States of America is not a unity. I think the United States of America is basically a bunch of different countries that is held together by an elite of imperialists. And like every empire, it will eventually crack. Because I got to tell you, chat, there's nothing about racist white culture of the South that I feel anything in common with. Like, if I look at Asmongold, I don't think, oh, that's a fellow American. I think there's nothing between me and Asmongold in common.
But the major pivotal points is usually when he like goes after Jimmy Kimmel or some shit. That was a big ding. Another major pivotal point was when he was Zelensky in the White House. It's stuff like that that actually does noticeably harm his approval ratings. It's all this aesthetic nonsense that you wouldn't normally consider as a major turning point that ends up in the long run playing into his disapproval rating increasing. Obviously, if it was truly America's golden age, as Donald Trump is claiming it is, there would be less critics of Donald Trump. They all play a role here, but oftentimes the pivot points, oftentimes the important points of disagreement come from silly things like this. Silly, it's not necessarily a silly thing, but it is silly in the grand scheme of things in comparison to like waging war with Venezuela after promising that you weren't going to do war, or claiming that you were going to end Russia's invasion of Ukraine. Bruh, are you going to trust your own assumption of how MAGA reacts versus eyewitnesses of how they're reacting? Yes. And the reason why I'm saying that is because those are anecdotes, whereas what I'm offering is not simply my own assumption, but instead what I've seen with Donald Trump's approval rating taking a serious hit after certain events. Things that I normally wouldn't assume would cause people to actually chip away and experience buyer's remorse or decide, you know what, this, I don't like this guy. That's why I'm bringing up the different points where Donald Trump has actually seemingly taken a hit on his approval ratings. One of them was the ballroom thing, right? Obviously, it's accompanied by all of the other chaos that surrounds this administration, but the ballroom thing, whether we want to admit it or not, was seemingly an issue for a lot of boomers. They didn't like that he destroyed the East Wing of the White House. What do you want me to say? I would hope that people are more rational and actually express their discontent with the administration over ICE raids, or express their discontent over, not actually bringing about peace in the Middle East as he claimed he was going to do, or claiming he wasn't going to do a war, but then, decides to murder fishermen off the coastline of Venezuela. But that doesn't work. That's not something that the base gives a shit about. The base cares about the aesthetics, okay? Trump's base, I mean. This is analysis, okay? I'm not...
Bro, I got kicked out of your stream chat. Anyone else was kicked out? No.
Agreeing with it. I'm just telling you what I have seen thus far. This is going to be like tearing up the East Wing, in that it's obviously not as horrible or impactful in the grand scheme as half the things this administration is doing every day, but is so audaciously ugly, it might just shock.
Mobile had an error? Oh, God. Wasn't me. Oh, wait. No, it wasn't. Wait. Did I F?
People in the outrage. That's what I think as well. I think this is another one of those moments where a lot of boomers are going to be like, oh, that was actually very distasteful. I don't know why you did that. Because it is audaciously ugly. I was
wondering, because we lost like 100. Okay, so it looks like a bunch of people just clicked back in, because now we have 4,500 viewers. It's so funny how broken Twitch is. Like, people will be actively watching and they will not be counted as viewers. It's so fucking annoying. And now I'm at 3,900. I was at 4,500. Now I'm at 3,900. It's so fucking annoying, dude. God damn it, dude.
And it's unnecessary. He could have just said, oh, well,
so obnoxious.
Despite Rob Reiner's attitude about me, I am truly sorry for the tragedy. He was a fantastic director, something like that, He could have said something like that. Liberals still would have gotten mad and been like, oh, he's not offering enough praise to Rob Reiner, but then that would have been a more defensible posture.
Yeah.
But he just came out of the gay swing and being like, oh, he died because of TDS. That's insane. Felix had a really good take on this that I retweeted, but Felix basically said, this is an absolute masterclass in posting. Only a true operator can take a tragic double murder that's completely unrelated to them and make fun of one of the victims in such a way that it seems they were at least somewhat responsible for it. Like, Donald Trump is literally taking blame for a double murder that took place, okay? Because if you read what he's saying here, he's saying like, oh, this guy pissed off a lot of people. It's probably one of my fans that murdered him. Do you not understand how psychotic that is? It's probably one of my fans that killed Rob Reiner because he was doing TDS. And also, it's good that he died. That's basically what he said for no reason. Absolutely no reason whatsoever. People are like, how could such a tragedy take place? And while people are trying to understand what the is going on, I mean, this is a high profile incident. This is a very famous family, right? This is so unshocking, bro. Stop it. I think you need to talk to more boomers in your life and more normies in your life. This is the type of that they get grossed out by, okay? Yeah, Donald Trump came out and doubled down on his statement.
Your statement on Truth Social after the murder of Rob Reiner. Do you stand by that post?
Well, I wasn't a fan of his at all. He was a deranged person as far as Trump is concerned. He said he knew it was false. In fact, it's the exact opposite, that I was a friend of Russia, controlled by Russia. You know, it was the Russia hoax. He was one of the people behind it. I think he hurt himself in career-wise. He became like a deranged person, Trump derangement syndrome. So I was not a fan of Rob Reiner at all in any way, shape.
Imagine being such a loser-ass bitch that somebody doesn't like you, and therefore you disregard everything they've done. Do you know how low IQ this is? This is the definition of low IQ.
Form. I thought he was very bad for our country. Yeah.
Bro, I'm sorry. That is so insane. Dude, if it was like Hillary Clinton, boomers would still get kind of mad because they love the aesthetics of bipartisanship. They will never let that go, right? There are a lot of normie libs, you know, down ballot normie libs and down ballot normie Republicans who still believe in this like sense of bipartisanship and normal politics and stuff like that. That was such a driving motivator that Donald Trump literally lost to Biden's carcass in 2020. Okay. That was a big primer for a lot of people. I think a lot of you are forgetting that not everyone is as apathetic because many of you are under the age of 40. Many of you are under the age of 30. We have different attitudes about politics nowadays than how a lot of boomers who saw most of their lives, you know, these guys disagreeing on politics, but still being chummy with one another and think that's the appropriate way to go about it. When Donald Trump comes out and says this about someone, not even Hillary Clinton, not a political actor necessarily, but like someone like Rob Reiner, who's like a beloved director who was lived the fuck up, especially after such a gruesome, high-profile murder, that's insane. That is going to come across as, in my opinion, that is going to come across as like a really distasteful, another turning point, in my opinion, that is really distasteful in the way that people perceive it. Oh, also, here's the other side of the story as well. This is how Rob Reiner reacted to Charlie Kirk's assassination as well, which is, I'm sure, a lot of what a lot of people are also posting on the timeline
horror.
Too.
Absolute horror. And I, unfortunately...
Obviously, you don't win any favors with a lot of these goons when you are even remotely open-minded or remotely kind to your political opposition, but just, you know, remember
saw the video of it, and it's beyond belief.
I'm sorry, but were you expecting another type of reaction from Trump? Yes. I think Donald Trump, if he had full brain processing power, would not have reacted this way. He would have made one singular snide remark about Rob Reiner's like politics, but he would have said this is a horrifying tragedy. He was a great director, you know, with many fans all around the world, something like that. I think this is a senile Trump behaving like a mad king. Because there's a line between sassy.
Wait, gruesome scene. Wait, what happened? Oh my God, the Rob Reiner story is so gross, man. Oh, dude. There's just something about humanity. It's just so. Mike Brainef? Wait, what? I'm sorry, Chad. I was just taking a deep breath. I was taking a deep breath because I'm looking at some of the Rob Reiner shit. I'm sorry. Look at Donald Trump 2019 versus today. Doesn't look good, folks.
And just outright cruel. And depending on who you're talking about, you can be outright cruel. This is not a good person to be outright cruel about. That's what I'm saying. He moved from sassy to just straight up mean and ugly.
What happened to him, and that should never happen to anybody. I don't care what your political beliefs are. That's not acceptable. That's not a solution to solving problems. And I felt like what his wife said at the service, that the memorial they had, was exactly right. And totally, I believe, you know, I'm Jewish, but I believe in the teachings of Jesus, and I believe in doing to others, and I believe in forgiveness. And what she said to me was beautiful, and absolutely, you know, she forgave his assassin.
He didn't say that about RBG. Yeah, he was civil when RGB died, and she was both far more politically relevant and not the victim of murder. He's definitely got the old man don't give a f syndrome. I can see that,
and I think that is admirable.
I don't even agree with Rob Reiner on this assessment, but like that kind of stuff is going to make boomers feel a certain type of way.
90s, such as when Harry met Sally. Stand By Me.
Yeah, he said nasty things about McCain too and refused the funeral, but ultimately still did a lot of condolences. He just lost any sense of tact. It's nuts, man. I don't know how you guys don't see it. Maybe in some ways you're just looking at what Donald Trump has done so far and the lack of response from the MAGA base as reason as to why this won't be as impactful. But I do think it's moments exactly like this one that play a big role in the way that boomers look at this kind of stuff and the normies look at this kind of stuff and think this is really uncalled for. I
don't think any, I do think that anybody normal, and again, that's 65% of people. 35% of people are batshit crazy and evil, right? In America. We could probably say there's a hardcore of like 30% of people that are just incredibly fucking evil. But for most people, the vast majority of people, they look at this shit and they're just like, this is unhinged and gross.
Totally close my eyes and imagine a bunch of boomer normie Republicans being like, oh, that's really distasteful to speak about someone who fell in such a tragic
Normal
way.
people won't hear about his post. Wrong. Rob Reiner is no, dude, nah.
And it's kind of crazy because like these are the same people who were like, oh, you are going to get fired if you say anything about Charlie Kirk. If you even like reflect on Charlie Kirk's statements that he was proud to make, okay, you should be fired. And these are the same people who are like, it's the left that's actually responsible for so much political violence because their words are so violent. It is rubbing some of his followers the wrong way because at the end of the day, Reiner's films are important touchstones of American culture for generations, and a lot of people, even with right-wing politics, deeply loved and cherished his work. Exactly. They're not reading it as like a lot of these people are not reading this as like even conservative boomers are not going to read this as like Rob Reiner was a political actor who we hate. It's more so about if you're a boomer and you were an adult by like the late 80s and the early 90s, early 2000s, and you watch Rob Reiner's movies, was that more impactful for you in your development than how much you love Donald Trump now? That's it. Because if you are ride or die in the MAGA cult and you love Donald Trump that much, and there are plenty of people who do, they're going to say, yeah, this is fine. Rob Reiner, he came at the king, he came at my God king, and I hate him for that reason. But there are far more people, I think, that watch his movies and thought, no, I like this guy. Like, I mean, yeah, sure, we have disagreements in our politics, but I like this guy overall. And it's really distasteful. It's really in poor taste to speak ill of the dead in this way. Because like boomers love saying like that, don't speak ill of the dead.
At the same time that he was making brilliant film work, he was also deeply engaged. There wasn't a cause he didn't care about. He cared about immigrants. He cared about equality and justice. He spoke up in defense of democracy at a time when so many in the media industry, so many with a platform are afraid to speak. He put his money and his mouth where his heart was. And for Trump to have put that out today, I'm going to say it. You know, damn it, there's an American family grieving.
Yeah.
This is a tragedy, not just for the family, but for all who knew and loved him. And for the President of the United States to make this about him and a way to attack Rob Reiner because he exercised his American...
Yeah, that's the other side of this too. It's like very selfish. It's very self-centered to just like look at a situation like this and be like, well, he hated me, so him. Like maybe one of my fans killed him. That's insane. That's an insane thing to say, guys. I'm sorry.
So apparently what happened is Rob Reiner took his son to Conan O'Brien's Christmas party. Rob Reiner took son to party to keep an eye on him. Rob Reiner took his son, Nick Reiner, to Conan O'Brien's December 13th Christmas party to keep an eye on him, just a day before the elder Reiner and his wife were killed. The film director and his wife, Michelle, asked if they could bring him to the occasion out of concern for their son. At the party, Mick exhibited antisocial behavior, including staring at people. I mean, this just, honest to God, looks like a kick streamer to me. I think like a couple things. God. Reiner and his son got into a very loud argument, according to TMZ. The following day, Reiner and his wife were found dead at their Los Angeles home in what investigators have called an apparent homicide. Nick Reiner remains in custody without bail. One of the Rainer's neighbors told the New York Post that Nick has had demons for the longest. It's such a nightmare. The whole thing is a tragedy. He struggled with drug addiction and mental health issues since he was about 14 years old. The thing that I would like, I don't mean to harp on this, but he seems ahedonic. Everybody here is smiling. Here you go. People are, again, everybody's smiling. He's ahedonic in each one. His father had described the ordeal of Nick going to 18 rehabilitation facilities and being homeless in 3 states. What a nightmare, dude. Did I say ahedonic? Anhedonic. Reduced motivation or ability to experience pleasure. And like, that explains the drug addiction. Because the only way he could feel pleasure is through hardcore drugs. Mike, I'm illiterate. I don't know what that means, but I'll look it up. Yeah, sorry. This stream, I speak to you like you're adults with a vocabulary. Is that okay? Like, I think, and if you don't know what I'm saying, it's okay to ask. Expand your vocabulary. Use your brain a little bit. When Nick would tell us what wasn't working for him, we wouldn't listen. We were desperate, and because people had diplomas on their wall, we listened to them when we should have been listening to our son. Man. You throw yourself at the mercy of a lot of people who are experts. All tell you these things, but they don't take into account your child, and you should know your child better than they do anyway. That is something I learned as we went along. Wanting is a component of anticipatory positive affect, mediating both the motivation, i.e. the incentive salience to engage with the reward, as well as with the positive emotions associated with anticipating a reward. Liking, though, is associated with the pleasure derived from consuming a reward. Anhedonia occurs in 70% of people with major depressive disorder. Or anhedonia is one of the negative symptoms of schizophrenia. I mean, him being homeless, I mean, him seemingly like substance related disorders, like, yeah, post-traumatic stress. Interesting. I'm sure more of it's gonna emerge. I'd assume that his lawyer is gonna argue some sort of like temporary insanity. He couldn't get the right help even with unlimited money. I mean, I don't know, man. It bums me out, dude. It bums me out. Because I'm a solutionizer. I've got a spit-polished older brother who looks like me but does everything right. And I have a sister who just went off to college. Nick said on the podcast in 2016, the same year he and his father were jointly promoting their film, Being Charlie. He said he didn't go to high school or college. Instead, he went to a wilderness program in Utah, rehab facilities, and lived on the street. Question I love to hear is, I mean, you come from a background like this. How could you ever get into drugs? It's like, well, gee, I mean, I don't even know where to start. Raised in Los Angeles by filmmaking royalty, Nick has faced a long private struggle cast under the spotlight of celebrity. He and his director father made a scripted movie together based on his experience with drug addiction called Being Charlie. I mean, I'm sure that this was not a good program, but I think he tried everything. It sounds like he tried everything to me. He's been placed on suicide watch.
We want to start with a story that really is, I would say Hollywood, but really shaking the country because it's the death of popular actor and
We're able to take into custody Nick Reiner, a suspect in this case. He was subsequently booked for murder.
Breaking news at 5. LAPD releasing new pictures of Nick Reiner being arrested in the double homicide of his parents, legendary Hollywood director Rob Reiner and Michelle Singer Reiner. The 32-year-old is now being held on no bail. Welcome to the Fox 11 News at 5, simulcast on Fox 11 Plus. I'm Susan Hirasuna, here for Christine Devine. The entertainment world shocked by this tragic violence, a chilling argument at a celebrity holiday party, possibly at the center of it all. Fox 11's Christina Gonzalez joins us now live from Brentwood with the latest on this death investigation. Christina?
Well, we're right outside the front gate over here. We are told the LAPD investigators are supposed to come by and serve search warrants. They have not done so as of this point. What we do have, and if we can show these to you, we just got some of the images of the arrest of Nick Reiner. That's the U.S. Marshals. And supposedly this is the arrest. The location looks like the station over at Vermont, the metro station at Vermont, and it looks like they're taking him down. Those pictures were actually posted, and LAPD thanking the U.S. Marshal for their help with the arrest, which I'm told went without incident. He was booked under suspicions of the death of his parents, and initially bail was $4 million. Now it's no bail. People in shock. Very well described by the senior editor of Culture at Variety. Listen.
When we say there are no words, there are no words. This is incomprehensible.
The murders of famous director and activist Rob Reiner and his wife Michelle, plus the arrest of their 32-year-old son Nick as a suspect in their death. The bloodied bodies found at their Brentwood home last night by their daughter Romy, according to TMZ.
When she had spoken to police, she told them that there was an argument that may have caused Nick to act out in violence and stab them to death.
An argument reportedly the night before at Conan O'Brien's holiday party.
It's unclear exactly what the argument was over, but it was so heated and so animated that we're told that people at the party overheard the commotion.
Including one party-goer who tells Fox 11,
he didn't talk to anybody. He just kept to himself with a blank stare on his face, like no emotion. And he didn't look well.
We're told that the daughter, Romy, was the one that called 911, and she also noted to police that her brother, Nick, has a history of mental illness as well as substance abuse issues, and she felt he was dangerous.
Nick Reiner has never been shy about being very open and very public about his struggles with substance abuse. Rob and Nick teamed up for a movie.
Dad, I'm not going to listen to you tell me what a drug addict I am.
Being Charlie, based on Nick's addiction and the family's struggle dealing with it. Nick co-wrote it and his dad directed it back in 2015. But Rob Reiner actually began his acting career in the groundbreaking sitcom All in the Family, going on to direct hit movies.
Well, this piece is called Lick My Love Pump.
Like Spinal Tap, Stand By Me, The Princess Bride, Misery, and When Harry Met Sally, featuring Billy Crystal. He was seen here with his wife, visibly shaken as they made their way to the Reiner's home. Reaction coming in from Hollywood.
Jerry O'Connell posting the photo of him on the set of Stand By Me.
Mel Brooks' son posting photos of his father and Reiner. And media from all around the world descending around the Reiner home, trying to figure out the elusive question, why?
Everyone is still trying to get their minds around it, and I don't think people ever will.
Dems got fooled again. Johnson announced there'll be no vote on the ACA extension. Speaker Mike Johnson confirmed Tuesday he will not allow a House vote this week to extend expiring Obamacare subsidies. A reversal from last week. A GOP leadership aide said the process would allow for an amendment vote. In the end, there was not an agreement. Wow, did the Republicans betray you? Amazing.
Keep in mind, this man beyond Hollywood is also known for his activism, social issues like same-sex marriage, things like that. So a lot of people reacting to this tonight. I'm Christina Gonzalez, live in Brentwood. Back to you guys in the studio.
Shocking, still so shocking, Christina. Thank you.
I mean, this is such a nightmare, dude. This is such a nightmare. This is Mike, Tim Miller said the Dems won the shutdown. Can you repeat that message once we're done with this? This is such a fucking nightmare. This is actually depressing. Not because I'm the biggest Rob Reiner head or anything like that. It's just he was an artist. And it seemed like he was trying to do good in the world and to be destroyed by your own son. And a lot of the problems that his son experienced are really problems in American society. There are millions of families that are going through these same struggles. My guess, like I hate to even speculate. I heard the son might have schizophrenia too. Where did you hear that? Because that was the first thing that I was struck by when I looked at the pictures. He looked like a schizophrenic. But I didn't want to say that because people get very weird when you diagnose, which I'm not diagnosing. I'm just saying that my brother recently relapsed after 20 years. Now he's smoking crack and has sold everything he has. And crack was brought into this country by the CIA to fund their regime change death squads to prevent socialism in Latin America. Schizophrenia is a spectrum like many other illnesses. You should assume psychotic just because schizo is mentioned. Important clarification. Oh, of course. I'm not somebody who demonizes mental health issues. I don't care if you're borderline personality, sociopath, major depressive, ADHD, doesn't make you less of a human to me. It just means that there are certain behaviors that we should be aware of and cognitive of, so that we can help you better integrate socially and prevent certain dangerous spirals of thinking. And to look at diagnoses, treatment, supportive care. I don't think any of those conditions mean you are a bad person. I don't believe that. However, they do mean that there are certain types of thinking that you could get trapped in that lead you to become delusional, disconnected from reality. And we should be aware of that and vigilant about it. It doesn't mean you're a bad person or something. Now, this guy murdered 2 people. So he's a bad person. You know, like we're, you know, once you go and cry and you murdered two beloved people, you know, I think we can now say you're bad.
So no appearance today. No appearance.
Hey guys, out of the way so you can get through.
To represent Mr. Reiner. And his reason for not coming today, I know you talked about it on the elevator, but why isn't he here?
Every inmate has to be medically cleared before they can be transported to court.
Don't dialecticians not believe in universals like bad? There is a kind of colloquial use of the term that I adopt because human beings have a little bit of a supernatural peasant brain. And I'm not going to become a stilted weirdo who doesn't use terms like evil because it's not perfectly in line with my philosophy. I'm going to let myself, I'm going to smudge the edges of the hard borders of what I am saying for rhetorical usefulness. So if you don't agree, that's fine. Like, I'll give you an example. I'll say billionaires having all the wealth while millions of people live on the streets is bad. That is a value judgment I'm making. That is a moral argument I'm making. From the perspective of Marxism, that is just class. That's class analysis. That is class interest. The billionaire class has an interest in accumulating as much capital as possible by hyper-exploiting the working class. It is the natural result of dialectical materialism, natural result of the conflict of interests in our social system and the control of the means of production. That's a neutral, objective way of describing those situations. I, as a human being, simultaneously could adopt that interpretation of reality. And then I could also, on top of it, as a human being, go, that's undesirable. That's bad. I don't like that. I'm allowed to say that. That's not a contradiction. I'm not relying on the badness for my politics, if that makes sense. Me subjectively saying that's bad is not why I believe what I believe or analyze what I analyze, if that makes sense. I guess the question is, was this avoidable? How? It seems to me that the only way it could have been avoided is if the Reiners had 5150'd this son and put him in some sort of confinement. Because, you know, like at this point, 19 rehabs, I mean, the world's best academics and clinicians, like, we just don't know anything more than that. We don't know the family. We weren't there for the experiences. He had access to everything. It is like, you know, and that's part of what's so baffling and frustrating about the situation is it's like, how did this happen? He had all the support. He was able to go into his parents' house. They weren't cutting him off. They weren't throwing him out in the street. He was in his fucking 30s. They invited him to Conan O'Brien's Christmas party. Like, I mean, at the end, like, you're allowed to cut off a 32-year-old child. That is harmful. Like, that is something that is within your rights. The fact that he was even invited into their home and he killed them in such an intimate way, a knife. They probably, I mean, I would only be speculating, and maybe it's inappropriate to speculate. What comes to my mind is that he was trying to pressure them to give him money so he could buy more drugs. I mean, and they were saying, no, we're not going to give you money for drugs. I mean, that's because he has said he's a bad person for killing his parents. Yes, he's a bad person. Committing cold-blooded murder makes you a bad person.
He has not been medically cleared. It's just a procedural issue.
And where's Mr. Reiner now, currently?
MCJ,
okay.
Benz County Jail.
And just to triple confirm, the murder case has not been filed yet.
I have not received any filing. And I don't believe the court has received any filing at this point.
Have you spoken to your client at all?
I'm not commenting any further than what the procedure of the court today is.
How was your client's spirits today?
Not here. That's the whole point. He's not here yet.
Can we expect a hearing tomorrow?
We'll be back day to day. The bailiff has indicated that the sheriff's department will take it on a day-by-day basis, and so hopefully he'll be cleared tomorrow, and we can get him there.
And again, the reason why we're not having it today?
Oh my goodness. How many more times do I have to say it?
Sorry. 3 more.
Eric, why is he not here today?
He's not been medically cleared.
That's right. Not medically cleared. Correct. Every single inmate goes through a medical clearance before they can be transported to court. Every one. And that's a process. It's just a procedural issue. And he has not yet been medically cleared. So we'll be good.
Have I seen the smog in India? Have you seen how bad the air in LA was lately? If he was struggling with addiction before adulthood, that it could explain the severity of his symptoms. Yeah. I at the end of the day, I think this is where, you know, this is where we start to bump up into the disagreements that I'm going to have with some chatters. I fundamentally, you know, recognize that there is a level of antisocial personality, and how we get there is very important. We want to reduce the number of truly antisocial personalities in society, and we could do that by providing healthcare, you know, stable living situations, quality nutrition, good education, supportive care, and also, you know, love, appreciation, leisure. Like, you know, a human being needs a lot of elements to maintain, you know, a stability. But sometimes there are individuals who, because of accident or abuse, become true antisocial personalities, dangerous, predatory, unfeeling, and they need more intensive treatment, and they don't have the ability to accurately interface with reality, and they have delusional thoughts or uncontrollable emotions, and they can be violent. And like, this is a thing that exists. If you've never encountered it, I'm happy for you. I'm legitimately happy for you. If you've never encountered this, I'm happy for you. You are blessed. But there are some people like this, and we do need to have systems in place to help control them. Did I wish violence on another streamer? No, that's not. I would be permabanned if I did that. Asmongold did lie about that, but no, I did not. He's clearly not interested in help. He just murdered his parents. Yes, guys, he was given all the help in the world. Maybe his parents sent him to some shit that was bad. Maybe they sent him to some institutions that are bad, and maybe they were, you know, that's definitely possible. You better keep the dead out of the drama instead of spreading misinformation and lies. Why? Does Asmongold respect the dead? He made fun of 40,000 children being murdered by Israel. The fuck do you mean leave the dead out of it? You can't throw out hate, want people to like you. Don't be a pussy ass bitch like that. Come on. Anyway, does anybody else want a cigarette? I don't know about you guys, but I could really go for a cigarette. We were talking about the commentary is parasocial and biased toward the parents. Yes, they were just murdered by their son, and there's no evidence that they did anything to him. You know what I mean? Like, if you want to invent, I think one of the things that happens with some people, and you do run into this type of personality in left-wing spaces, is some people, oh my goodness, what's this? Theo has made the barbecue and mac and cheese again. Pulled pork? Ooh. 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 Thank you. Thank you, Vio. Anyway, what was I saying? We got ourselves, I mean, honestly, the last time she made this, it was the best pulled pork I've ever had, and I was mad. I was mad because it had no right to be that good. I think, okay, what was I saying? Oh, I was saying a lot of people like to invent justifications for these type of acts where the victims, in their mind, the victims must have deserved it, because that is an ego, that is like a protection against fear. If you look at this couple and you realize they were loving parents and they were creative geniuses and they were beloved by almost everyone they were friends with, and they fought for good social causes, and they were just good people who were killed by their son, and they didn't deserve it. It was horrible. Were they perfect? No one's perfect. Some people, they get absorbed, they get consumed by fear. They can't handle that kind of reality. They've got to create a justification. They have to create, well, they did this. They did this. Well, they should have done that, as a way of protecting themselves from the horror of the reality. And you run into this type of person on the left more than any other space, because to them, there aren't just predatory people. Every predator is made, right? There are no predators that are born. There are no people that are just antisocial. Like, everybody had to be a victim first. That's what some people on the left think. And unfortunately, that's not true. I wish it were true, but unfortunately, it's not. Some people go through life blessed, getting every possible advantage, and they use that to do harm. Like, that's just, and some people go through hell and they come out of it trying to heal and end the cycle. Okay, that is true as well. Just so you can imagine people going through hell and trauma and coming out the other side trying to fight against it and make the world a better place. Sometimes people get all the support and love in the world and they come out antisocial anyway. Maybe a cosmic ray hit a fucking neuron and it caused, you know, damage to a certain connection that was being made. Like, you know, random chance happened. Okay? Okay, Buddha Boy and Mudmore. I think you guys just you just shut the fuck up from each other. I'm gonna time you both out. How are you not embarrassed to show your face after being made look so damn stupid? By who? Asmongold? His every breath is an embarrassment. It's sucking in the mold spores and dead rat fumes. He couldn't make anybody look stupid in his life. He couldn't make anybody look stupid in his entire life. He couldn't make anybody look stupid. He couldn't do it. He couldn't if he tried. Anyway, what was I saying? He makes his audience look stupid for following him. You got called a giant fatty by his dad. I did? Is who? Where's his dad at? I'd like to have a stern talking to. He's an old man. He shouldn't talk like that. That's not appropriate. What's his number? Okay, you guys don't know his number and you shouldn't put any numbers in the chat. Oh, fuck. I love it when 30-year-olds come in here. His name is OG Talos. Oh, fuck. Come on, come on, come on. Please be your main account. Please be your main account. Oh, please be your main account. I love yelling at the Asmongold chatters. They're my favorite people. You watch Asmongold videos on YouTube. Bro, you should do, you know what you need to do. So this is an alt account you made. What's your main account? Right on the Amaranth following, right away. He's like, okay, XQC, Asmongold, Zachar, Amaranth, Claudia Fox. I gotta get all my favorite. It's like clicking between a guy saying how women are whores to a woman that he jerks off to on Twitch. That's funny. Holy shit. Miskiff, Trainwrecks. Man, you watch a lot of streamers. You got the Pirate Software follow. Anyway, welcome in. Welcome in. Brother jerks off a lot to streamers, yeah. Laugh all you want at Asmongold, but you have to recognize a generational talent when it comes to killing parents. I don't think he killed his parents. I don't blame Asmongold for killing his parents. Like, come on. Like, you can't blame him for that. That's crazy, chatter. I have to time you out. That's just mean. You can't blame him for that. You can't blame him for that. Hermitcraft follower, the first guy he followed was kicked out for harassing girls. Is that true? I don't even know about that. My general feeling about Asmongold is that we're just getting started having fun with Asmongold. We're just getting started making fun of Asmongold. Oh, fuck. God, I want you guys to know we have a project brewing where we're going to be talking about Asmongold, Tectone, all your favorite right-wing content creators. We're going to be doing deep dives into all your favorite right-wing content creators. It's going to be it's an amazing project. It's going to be so much fucking fun. It is the year of the cockroach extermination campaign. Oh, man. Who's we? An incredible specialized project where we're going to be going over all of your favorite right-wing content creators for the deep dives. It's going to be amazing. I was inspired by the QAnon Anonymous podcast with Liv Agar, friend of the show, where they went down the rabbit hole last Trump administration of the QAnon phenomenon, and we Gopnik and a third party. I don't know if they're ready to release their involvement. We are creating a project that will be focusing on deep dives and examinations on the underbelly of the right-wing internet. Asmongold among them. What's your top Rob Reiner movie? I mean, who doesn't love Princess Bride, man? That's a classic.
Director and actor Rob Reiner was a Hollywood legend whose body of work leaves behind a lasting legacy. He was born Robert Norman Reiner in the Bronx, New York. He was the elder.
Just so you understand, chat, the project. Just so you understand the project, I want to see. I'm gonna leak a preview. I'm probably gonna get in trouble for this. I'm going to leak you a preview. I'm going to leak you guys a preview. Hold on, let me find it. You what? Save it? But I want to leak the preview. What if I leak this, Theo? Theo's saying save it, chat. She's saying you're not ready. What if I leaked them this? Just that photo. Save it? When I thought Mike was the leader of the Central Committee and Hassan was his greatest Padawan. I didn't know. I mean, we have many, many great allies. It's such a good leak.
Nick Reiner, son of Hollywood icon Rob Reiner, has been taken into custody after
I'm probably going to talk about the vanity drop tomorrow.
Both of his parents were found dead in their home last night. CNN's Josh Campbell is in Los Angeles. Josh, I know you've been talking to sources. What are you learning about this arrest?
Yeah, Dana, a significant development in this incident. As you mentioned there, we're told that the son of Rob and Michelle Reiner is now in police custody. That according to jail records. Now, he's being held on $4 million bail on a type of felony charge. However, the records do not indicate what that specific charge is, whether that's specifically in connection with this case.
Why do reporters report like this? He's being held on suspicion of murder, and the district attorney is dotting all the I's, crossing all the T's before they file the first-degree murder charge. Not complicated.
We're waiting to actually, confirm that information. I did hear from a law enforcement source last night after we began reporting on these tragic deaths that police were conducting an interview with a family member at that time. Authorities calling this an apparent homicide, which was important because obviously in these types of death cases, authorities will try to assess whether a death was a suicide, whether it was an accident. LAPD saying last night they believe it was an apparent homicide. Now we're still waiting for additional details about what comes next in this case, whether the son is actually cooperating and talking with police. But again, a significant development. Their son now is in jail, Dana.
It could not get any more tragic. Josh, thank you so much for that reporting. I want to now bring in retired FBI Special Supervisory Agent Steve Moore. Steve, thanks for being here. What's your read on this situation?
Well, I think based on what I've heard, that family members are talking, nobody seems to be in the family seems to be wildly shocked about this. So I think we're going to find out more and more. There were indicators that there were problems in the relationship, problems with him. And
they're not shocked by the murder?
I think LAPD is taking it very carefully. They're not treating it like a slam dunk. I see that they're getting a warrant, or they got a warrant to search the home of the victims. And so that, you don't always do that. So they are taking it extremely carefully.
As they should. I mean, this is beyond, sensitive, not to mention horrific. I was just told, as you were talking, that the LAPD chief just confirmed that Nick Reiner, the son of Rob and Michelle Reiner, was booked on murder charges.
Yeah, that's an important development because we know the chief was just speaking on a separate press conference underway in a domestic terrorism case. But that's the connection that we were awaiting there, whether authorities would actually say this was a murder of that type of charge. Obviously, a significant development. It tells you the direction that this investigation is.
All right, thanks to you both. Really appreciate you giving us the latest on this horrific investigation. Speaking of horrific, I want to read how the President of the United States responded publicly to this news. Here's what he posted. Quote, "A very sad thing happened last night in Hollywood. Rob Reiner, a tortured and struggling but once very talented movie director and comedy star, has passed away, together with his wife Michelle, reportedly due to the anger he caused others through his massive, unyielding, and incurable affliction with a mind-crippling disease known as Trump derangement syndrome, sometimes referred to as TDS. He was known to have driven people crazy by his raging obsession of President Donald J. Trump. With his I
think to laugh at this, to like this being posted by a president of your country, you have to be kind of just a pathetic person. It's not even that it's not that it's even shocking at this point, because who's shocked by Donald Trump? But it's just low. Like, it's like somebody jacking off in the fucking bus stop. It's not that it's shocking. It's just distasteful and gross. You're just a low, disturbed, pathetic person.
Obvious paranoia reaching new heights as the Trump administration surpassed all goals and expectations of greatness. And with the golden age of America upon us, perhaps like never before, may Rob and Michelle rest in peace. My panel is here now. The days of us expecting this president to be a consoler-in-chief, a uniter-in-chief, even anything close to that, those are long gone. That ship has long sailed. So the bar is low, like really low. And this is a statement that came in so far below that bar, it's hard to even put words to it.
It's beyond the pale. Any 5-year-old can see that statement and know that's not an appropriate thing to say. You don't have something nice to say, you don't say it as like a rule that children are taught. But what it also shows me, and this isn't new information about Donald Trump, he can't resist. He is so addicted to media culture and the Hollywood thing and being a part of that story and playing in that space, that's irresistible to him. So his avenue of pursuit to swim in the stream of something that's already going to get a lot of attention. By the way, he's the president of the United States. He could get attention for anything he wants. And yet he knows like this is a stream he could swim in that will cause attention on him in a way that he thinks scores him some sort of political point with his fans. But it's just gross. I mean, it's just horrible to see that the leader of the free world wants to debase his position enough, attack these two people who are just, potentially murdered by their son.
And look, Rob Reiner was very, very open about his politics, huge advocate for progressive causes. No question about that. And yet, when Charlie Kirk was murdered, he went on Piers Morgan, and I want you to hear what Rob Reiner said about the murder of Charlie Kirk.
I don't care what your political beliefs are. That's not acceptable. That's not a solution to solving problems. And I felt like what his wife said at the service, that the memorial they had, was exactly right. And totally, I believe, I'm Jewish, but I believe in the teachings of Jesus, and I believe in doing to others, and I believe in forgiveness. And what she said to me was beautiful and absolutely, she forgave his assassin. And I think that is admirable.
You know how we are reminded of that comment that Rob Reiner made? Because Charlie Kirk's executive producer posted it after he learned that Rob Reiner and his wife. I just want to add that the president posted what I read on his own social media platforms, Truth Social. As far as I could tell, and our team looked into it, most of the comments were not supportive of the president. Many of the comments, I should say, not most, many of the comments were saying, Mr. President, that tells you something.
Yeah, but also should tell you something that the rapid response team and the White House reposted that seconds after President Trump did. I mean, it's not something that they're shying away from. And when you talk to Republicans...
Well, because the fucking freaks that are in the Trump administration now are the fucking weirdos. They're the Asmongold fans. And what I love about Asmongold is he made a big video and he brought in what, chat? How many people was that? 10, 15 maybe? Mods. How many Asmongold fans came in to insult me? Or kind of like obliquely try to like say some shit. Like 5, 10? That's it? 6, 7? I don't know why 6, 7 is the one annoying kid meme that doesn't bother me at all. I was anti-dab, but for some reason 6, 7 just hits for me. I don't know what it is about 6, 7. It's a good like child meme. Mike's worst take? Really? I think I've got some really bad takes. I think that can't be. Mike is a huge Skrilla fan. I'm not sure I know what Skrilla means. I would love to debate Asmongold in person, but he has to do like he has to get deloused first. And they need to wash him with like an elephant faucet first. He has to be deloused. It's dumb, but it's very silly. Millennials and Gen Z are shitting on Gen Alpha for 6, 7 when we had 69 and 21 as memes respectively. What? We had so many dumb fucking numerical memes. What are you talking about? They had, 420, obviously. What was that dumb meme about addition? There was like another dumb meme about addition. 9 plus 10 equals 19, 21. Yeah, that's the one. It was 9 plus 10 equals 21. Yeah, that was the dumb one. That one was the obnoxious one. That one really was annoying. All right, chat. I just realized something. We are 4 hours into the stream, and I forgot to shill. So if you enjoy the content, please consider supporting it. So Barry Weiss, the avatar of Israel's fucking spy agencies in America, here is interviewing Anduril founder Palmer Luckey. Now, whenever I feel, and I replied to this, I said, whenever I fear that socialism might not win, that barbarism will carry the day, I look at Palmer Luckey video and relax. Seeing how the global right wing is being grifted by this dope, and the U.S. military is buying his overpriced crap, makes it clear that U.S. hegemony is ending. So Barry Weiss and Palmer Luckey got together to talk at Foreign Affairs, America at 250 years. And I just have to play you the clip because it is the fact that the guy who made one of the worst VR headsets on the market is now running our drone program makes me so fucking happy.
In Russia recently, it's basically just drone warfare. What is war going to look like 10 years from now?
A lot of things that we're seeing in Ukraine, I think, would be different in a conflict with, let's say, China. I don't think China is going to adopt drones the same way that you've seen heavy adoption in Russia and Ukraine, because they have so many people, such an enormous surplus of single men who are never going to get a wife. Their calculus is just completely different. Why would they spend a bunch of money trying to automate a fighter jet when I can just put a person in it? And people say, oh, they don't want to lose those pilots. Well, what if I have a war machine that can churn out enormous numbers of pilots? You're going to see this huge divide in how wars are fought between countries that highly, highly value human life and ones that do not value it so highly. China is trying to build a war machine that can cross the Strait of Taiwan, invade Taiwan, and move massive amounts of war material across the sea and the sky into Taiwan so they can occupy it for years and years until things stabilize. That is a very different war machine than what Russia has built, which was designed really to fight Europe. And that's very different than what the United States is trying to build for our strategic interests. Most of this.
I want to say right now, chat, that this is maybe one of the dumbest things I've ever seen in my entire life. And at the end of the day, this is why America's fucking toast. Because we're listening to this fucking moron. If you actually go and examine what China is doing, they are trying to build drones. And they're trying to build, for example, they call them loyal wingman drones. Because why wouldn't you? A human being, a pilot, takes thousands of hours of training. It doesn't matter if you have a war machine, you still have to go through thousands of hours to train. Whereas once you have a drone that you can program, it's as simple as assembling it in a factory. It's like the difference between a bullet and an infantryman. China is going to do both. They're going to have more men because they have more men. And the ultimate value of any society comes back down to one variable: human beings. They have more of them. And China is instead of just going, we're going to do a human wave shit. Again, this is trading on boomer racism. That's what this guy's doing. He's trading on boomer racism that the Chinese are like, they're unthinking robots. They all are the same. They do human wave tactics. No, they're not going to do human wave tactics. They're going to have more infantrymen and more drones. They're going to have more pilots and more drone fighter jets. You're just fucked. Because more hands means more productivity. He's basically saying that America is going to develop what the Nazis called Wunderwaffe, or wonder weapons. America's going to buy these super expensive, high-end wonder weapons, and they're going to be invincible. That's not true. And you could see that in Ukraine. Let's go down the topics. First, it was the man-portable rockets are going to end Russia. That's your NLAMs and your Javelins and your Stingers. And then it was, well, now it's the Abrams tanks and the Western tanks that are going to end Russia. And then it's, oh, the drone systems, the first-person drone systems are going to end Russia. Then it was the rocket artillery, the long-range rocket artillery. That's going to end Russia. Then it was the F-16s. The F-16s, that's going to end Russia. Then the rocket artillery, the HIMARS. How many times have we moved down this path of like, well, when this Western weapon gets to the battlefield, the Russians are finished. And what is the war in Ukraine really now? Who has the better drones in Ukraine? It's Russia. Who has the better air force in Ukraine? It's Russia. Who has the better artillery in Ukraine? It's Russia. The United States and Europe have spent hundreds of billions of dollars poured that into Ukraine, And they have not been able to defeat Russia. Now, it's not because Russia is like superior to the US or would beat the US in a war. I'm not saying that. What I am saying is the Wonder Waffle theory is not real.
Systems the United States is building are not tools of conquest. They're tools of protection. We are trying to build stuff that turns all of our allies into prickly porcupines that nobody wants to step on. What is our hottest export? It's Patriot missile batteries. People are not begging us for our most powerful offensive weapons for the most part. They want these extremely powerful defensive tools. To answer your question, what does war look like? Everyone's going to be using different things. It's going to be a total mishmash of human, robot, automated, and not. And it's going to be a bit of a mess if any of these wars actually start. We have to stop them from existing.
Homer, what's
He's wearing flip-flops. This guy's supposedly the expert of Chinese drones. Although cheap drones have proved highly effective in Ukraine, they would not be able to meaningfully defend U.S. forces against Beijing. No shit! Because Beijing's going to have more drones than we will, of all types. It's possible that dangerously undervalues the importance of the Chinese people of their young men. Yes, they have a lot of them, but consider this. Almost every family has only one son. If that son dies, the family line dies. The parents lose that supporter in their old age. If the Chinese government, which is always strained to remain popular with its people, begins sacrificing only sons in conflicts, that's not something the populace would tolerate for long. As opposed to America, which has a birth rate of 1.8% deaths per or births per woman. Like, what are you talking about? What the fuck are you talking about? And the Chinese government is a lot more popular with its people than the American government is with our people. Like, if you were to ask me what's my biggest enemy in the world, it's conservatives. American conservatives are the #1 enemy of humanity on the planet. The Republican Party is the most evil organization on the planet. It's not even close. The communist Chinese, they're not a threat to me. The only way I'd ever find myself in conflict with China is if the United States government forced me into a fucking draft and shipped me over there against my will. China is not a threat to me unless America does something to China first. China is literally leading the field with drone swarm. I mean, they have not only that, we talked about this the other day. Chinese light carrier. They're developing new light carriers. I guess we should call it like they're developing these drone carriers that have electromagnetic catapults. We have nothing like this. We cannot compete with this. This is a new type of a light carrier. They're also developing a nuclear fleet carrier, which will be on the same level as anything the United States has. That's called their Type 004 aircraft carrier. 4 to 5 EM catapults, which, again, that would be more than our ships have. Does China have an issue with homelessness? No. Where do I get my military views? Well, the first place is from my life experience. Stuttering, he says. Studying military doctrine, strategy, civil engineering. I also tend to read, I read a few of the trade publications for the military. So I read Air and Space Magazine, which is a trade publication for the Air Force. Stuff like that, just to keep up. They have a drone carrier plane. This is like fucking. This is right out of Ace Combat. It's a drone carrier drone. Holy fuck. Holy shit. So you fly this over the battlefield and then it just shoots out a bunch of drones. Holy fuck. If China doesn't plan on projecting air power far from home, then why are they building aircraft carriers? To protect their fleets between ports? It's a definition of what you mean by far from home. Right now, China is vulnerable because of the Malacca dilemma. We talked about that. The other day, a couple weeks ago. Basically, they receive a lot of exports of food and oil through the Malacca Strait. And the United States of America is trying to contain China through military bases on what's known as the first island chain and the second island chain, to kind of like hem China in from a naval perspective so that they can basically blockade China. So China is pursuing the first is they're developing a deep blue water navy to be able to challenge the United States in blue waters away from China's coast in order to prevent blockades at the Malacca Strait. And the second thing is they're electrifying their economy and they're developing nuclear power, renewable energy, and fusion. And I don't know if you've seen, but there's a little bit of a little country called China, and they're on the come up. I've covered how China is gone from nothing, one of the poorest countries in the world, shattered by capitalism, living under warlords and cliques and literal gangsters, to a world-striding power who is dominating renewable energy, dominating electric vehicles, soon to be dominating space, soon to be dominating aviation. The International Space Station, ultimate symbol of neoliberal primacy, is falling out of orbit, and the only space station in orbit will be Chinese. Think about that symbolism. Dominating renewable energy, dominating electric vehicles, dominating space, dominating aviation, and they're on the dominating renewable energy, dominating electric vehicles, dominating space, dominating. Oh my God, chatter. Correct yourself right now. Correct yourself right now. Over 8 million out of poverty and counting. Correct yourself. Correct yourself right now. There you go. There you go. 800 million people out of poverty. Not 8 million, 800. The New York Times published this article, and I didn't even get a chance to talk about it because there's so much other bullshit happening. Oh my God, I have too many tabs. I have too many tabs. Oh, here it is. Clean, limitless energy exists. China is going big in the race to harness it. Beijing is pouring vast resources into fusion research, while the United States want private industry to lead the way. The winner could reshape civilization. It's over. It's over. It's over. This is like saying America is pouring millions into the nuclear bomb in the Manhattan Project through government research, where meanwhile Germany is trying to develop the nuclear bomb from private effort. It's over. It's fucking over. It's over. Envisioning a fusion-powered future, renderings of an American startup's experimental device left, and China's lab research facility, both under construction. This is what America imagines at some fucking strip mall warehouse. This is what China imagines. On a leafy campus in eastern China, crews are working day and night to finish a mammoth round structure with 2 sweeping arms the length of aircraft carriers. On former rice fields in the country's southwest, a hulking X-shaped building is being built with equal urgency under grand secrecy. That facility's existence wasn't widely known until research spotted it on satellite images a year or so ago. We know so little about China that a massive multi-billion-dollar fusion technology research center, we don't know about it until it pops up on satellite photos. And we're like, what the fuck is that? Together, the colossal projects are China's most ambitious efforts yet to harness an energy source that could transform civilization: fusion. Fusion, the melding together of atoms to release extraordinary energy, uses fuels that are plentiful, carries no risk of meltdowns, and leaves no long-lived radioactive waste. It promises near limitless energy that might not only satisfying the surging demand for electricity to power artificial intelligence, but also end reliance on the fossil fuels that are perilously overheating the planet. Scientists first mused a century ago about fusion, the energy of the stars. In recent decades, they have made major strides toward reproducing the process in the laboratory using magnets and lasers, yet forcing unruly atoms to combine is vastly more difficult than splitting them, as in the fission process that produces nuclear power today. A fusion reactor must first heat hydrogen to temperatures hotter than the sun, turning it to plasma, the fourth state of matter. Then it needs to hold this violet plasma together for long enough that the atoms fuse and disgorge energy. China, the United States, and other countries are racing to develop the machines that can pull all of this off and survive to do it again and again, reliably enough to power a grid. The world's 2 superpowers are in a tightening contest to dominate the energy future. And when they say tightening contest, what they mean is China is spading ahead like a fucking rocket ship, and we're still on the launch pad. Under the Trump administration, the U.S. is intent on producing oil, gas, and coal and selling it abroad. its chief economic rival, China, has become the world's dominant supplier of clean energy in the form of solar panels, batteries, and electric vehicles. I have never seen a New York Times reporter report the facts this cleanly. Where is the but at what cost? Where is the but the Chinese are evil? Look at these facilities in China. Look at the scale of the facility in China. China worked with France decades ago to develop the East Tokamak. Fusion could change the calculus for nations in the globe. Whoever conquers it could build plants around the world and forge new alliances with energy-hungry countries. But the Americans and the Chinese have very different strategies for getting there. Profit-seeking scam artists like Elon Musk or autistic scientists being paid for by the government. What are you betting on? What are you betting on? Autistic nuclear engineers paid for by the government or scam artists like Palmer Luckey and Elon Musk? Who are you betting is going to actually crack it? I'm going to go with the autistic nuclear scientists paid for by the government. That's my bet. The United States is counting on private industry and American innovation to deliver results. What result? What? Yo. With government agencies providing targeted support. That's the Joe Biden car chargers plan where you spend $2 billion and get 6 car chargers. From coast to coast, a fleet of startups has brought a new urgency and ingenuity to the quest. Okay, the other thing is, and I'm going to be completely brutally honest with you, chat. China spies on every single startup. If any of the startups look like they have a idea that might be working better than the Chinese idea, they steal it instantly. Except now they have billions of dollars of government behind it. So even if the United States starts winning from one of their private companies are leaky sieves. They're doing it for money. So somebody could sell that for money. There's no fucking chance that America wins. Best case scenario, even if America invents the idea, China will implement it first. It's over. On the other side of the world, China's government has made a fusion a national priority, marshaling resources at daunting speed. Recently, a Shanghai startup essentially matched an engineering breakthrough by America's best-funded fusion company, Commonwealth Fusion Systems, in much less time. Over the summer, the Chinese government and private investors poured $2.1 billion into the new state-owned fusion company. That investment alone is 2.5 times the U.S. Energy Department's annual fusion budget. How do I invest in the Chinese state-owned fusion company? How do I invest in this? How do I put my life savings into this? How do I put every dollar I have into this? This is not financial advice. I'm being hyperbolic. You cannot sue me if you do this and it doesn't work. Even Jim Cramer is worrying about China.
I think we have an emergency versus the I know that we have I think we have an emergency versus the Chinese. I think the Chinese are starting to get ahead of us when it comes to AI. I think that we don't have enough people that are building data centers. We don't have enough people, we don't have enough power. Can we do something, an emergency power, to catch up and pass the Chinese? Not unlike what we had to do with Sputnik in Russia, because I think we're falling behind, and it's our responsibility to pull ahead.
Right. Well, I don't think we're falling behind, and we definitely have the president and his team has put together a plan to rapidly accelerate data centers, the power production that we need to power those data centers, to get rid of the sort of red tape that makes it so the permits won't let you build the power generation of the data center. And so if you look at a 3 or 4 year ahead plan, then you've never seen anything like it in the U.S. And so I think we're going to be totally fine. We've got the best chips, the best people, and a plan to deregulate so that we can get all the power that we need. I would say that if the Chinese have any advantage right now, it's that we inherited a situation where they really increased power generation capacity under the Biden administration, and we're catching up on that, but we're catching up fast.
He talked about power generation. Let me just show you. I need you to understand this chart. If you want to understand why every liberal is posting about China like they are a Bush-era war hawk, this chart is a pretty good explanation. In 2024, China generated more electricity than the US, EU, and India combined. And the one aspect of the Chinese power production that's not increasing is coal. China confronts the cost of dismantling the world's biggest coal sector, posted 2 days ago by Bloomberg. So if you're looking at this and coping and saying it's coal, 14 hours ago from Reuters, global coal exports post rare decline in 2025 on China cuts. Stop fucking coping. Millions of jobs. China's mining employment is already shrinking. Millions of jobs were lost amid consolidation efforts last decade. The politics of China's just transition and the shift away from coal. China's coal production fell 3% in August. It is what it is. Investment in Chinese fusion companies has soared. The two countries' progress could soon be tested head-to-head. Commonwealth says that by 2027, the experimental device is building in Massachusetts will pull off a key feat, producing more energy than it takes to run. That would signal that fusion could someday generate electricity for data centers, steel mills, and more. China's leading plasma physics lab is aiming for its new machine, which has the modest name of BEST, and will sit in the twin-armed building in the country's east to cross that milestone in the next few years, too. It's a very tight schedule, says Lian Hu, a scientist at the lab. Even so, we are very confident we will be able to achieve BEST's research goals. The motto of the tokamak. China's commitment to science and fusion comes from the very top. The government's new 5-year plan covering 2026 through 2030 promises extraordinary measures to secure breakthroughs in fusion energy and other areas. China's state-owned nuclear company is preparing detailed fusion research proposals, calling it the main racetrack in future scientific and technological competition among the great powers. The country was a minnow in fusion only 2 decades ago, and it grew by teaming up with other nations. It worked closely with France to develop its most modern tokamak, a type of donut-shaped fusion machine. It became a key contributor to the 33-nation ITER fusion experiment, pronounced ITER. During much of the past decade, American and Chinese researchers conducted joint experiments and extolled their nation's long-term friendship in plasma physics. Now, Chinese labs and companies are pouring concrete for cutting-edge research facilities of their own. The Chinese Academy of Scientists Institute of Plasma Physics is building both the new BEST tokamak and a 100-acre complex nearby where researchers will develop and test components to operate under the extreme conditions of a fusion device. Scientists that are also sketching out another tokamak that could power a pilot fusion plant in the 2030s and 40s. This is before 2018, September 2021, 2024. There is absolutely nothing like this happening in the U.S. Richard Pitts, meanwhile, in the United States of America, Energy Department announces $625 million investment to reinvigorate and expand America's coal industry. I mean, what do you even say? Richard Pitts, a British-French physicist at ITER, visited the BEST site in January last year when it was little more than a half-empty platform. Today, it's half-finished. China has learned a great deal from being part of ITER, and now it is applying that knowledge to make its own advances, Dr. Pitts said. Every time I go there, I'm taken aback by the sheer numbers of people and the sheer efficiency with which things get done, he said. Even if the core technology works, fusion reactors won't power the world until companies figure out how to build and operate them affordably and at an industrial scale. And on that front, China's expertise in engineering and construction gives it a distinct advantage, said Jimmy Goodrich, a senior fellow at the University of California Institute on Global Conflict and Cooperation. The risk for the United States is we create a viable technical pathway first, but then China engineers it and scales it up before we can. That's what I said. That's what I said early. Pre-read, pre-watched. Amazing. Like, I told you that would happen. Even if we didn't develop it first, China will build it first.
It's an authoritarian surveillance state, and it is single-handedly powering the energy transition. Is that good? China's solar capacity is now close to double that of the United States and Europe combined. Their state industrial-led overcapacity has crashed solar pricing, being largely responsible for why solar and other green technologies have become cost competitive with traditional fossil fuels faster than anyone expected. China now makes more exporting green technology, mostly to the developing world and countries like Pakistan, than the United States makes from exporting fossil fuels. For years, for anyone who is serious about the global economy reducing its reliance on carbon-intensive industries, the central challenge was a free rider problem. Countries didn't want to curtail economic growth just to reduce carbon that might benefit others. Then the Chinese Communist Party identified environmental risks as an existential threat, both for legitimacy with its people and because energy independence was seen as vital for its national security. Solar, wind, and hydropower are cost competitive in many situations. By
the way, chat, I mean, notice how this liberal has to start off from going like, oh, it's a surveillance state. America's a surveillance state. Every single one of our cell phones is bugged. And every single one of our whereabouts are tracked. by private companies that the moment the government gets interested in you, they can track where you were. They could get a warrant like that. So you have a basically turnkey surveillance state. So anything they're accusing China of doing from surveillance perspective, the United States does, if not worse. The only difference between the two countries is China is taking global warming seriously. The United States is trying to boost coal again. As I said, and as far as popularity with its people, China's government is far more popular with its people than the American government is with ours. And it's not because of propaganda. It's because every Chinese person can walk outside their front door and see that their country got better. Do you understand that? When you walk out your front door and there's a new hospital there, you kind of go, well, that's amazing. When I go outside, I see another pothole. I see another pile of trash. So that's the reality. And as far as like the government, like basically the difference between China's government and ours, I'll explain to you, chat. If you want to be part of the government in China, you have to pass the meritocracy. You have to pass exams. You have to be educated. You have to have good moral character. It's not a popularity contest because you got bribed by a bunch of billionaires. They made a bunch of television commercials. You want to be in the Chinese government? You want to be part of the Chinese Communist Party? You have to earn your way in. It's a meritocracy. You can't just join because you want to join. And that's really what they have a problem with.
Fossil fuels. What's good for the environment is increasingly in line with what is fiscally and economically strategic. I want to add two contributions to this answer of whether this is net good. One is the role that free and open debate plays. In the 2010s, an American embassy Twitter account, Beijing Air, was posting hourly pollution data, publicly shaming how bad China's environment had gotten. At one point, 9 of the 10 most polluted cities in the world were in China, per the World Resources Institute. Reliable information, context, and ongoing updates drove action. It embarrassed officials. It made the Chinese Communist Party connect responsiveness to legitimacy with its people. 2, it is my personal...
You have to be the most white, racist chauvinist to think American embassy tweets are what changed China's position toward pollution. That is the most delusional shit I've ever heard in my entire fucking life. Are you okay? That is a batshit crazy take. And guess what happened? China declared war on pollution. And guess what? It's 70% of pollution reduction in the world over the last 10 years has taken place in China.
Political bias that I want more of the advanced technologies of the world being developed and led by more democratically governed places. You can disagree with me, but that's where I am. So we can and should benefit from the science and technology coming from other places, including China. But we have to recognize what moment this really is. The Americans have lost key ground on an advanced technology, one based on science that was developed in the United States. There are pieces of industrial policy that excite me. Investments in energy future in places like Louisiana, battery storage in upstate New York. China went from environmental laggard to global leader because of an authoritarian one-party state. But that speed comes with a kind of fragility. They rely on a single leader and faction. Democratically governed places have done...
Bro, you don't know anything about China's political realities. Like, give me a fucking break. Jesus Christ. It's so embarrassing.
Complicated society-wide transformations, wartime mobilization, interstate highway system, moon landing, Clean Air Act, authoritarian
government.
States can move fast. They can also fall apart fast. Economic forces are powerful ones to drive toward the societal change we need. We can benefit and learn from that while doing it our own way. China is an authoritarian...
How are the comments? Given the fact that the U.S. has more incarcerated people than any other country and ICE is currently acting as a secret police rounding up people without warrants, how are you seriously arguing that China is authoritarian and the U.S. isn't? Because they don't use authoritarian with an actual definition. It's American exceptionalism. If you evaluated America under any kind of objective standard, you would find it to be shit. Recently, Commonwealth got a glimpse at how quickly China is moving in fusion research. Last year, scientists with the company published academic papers describing one of their biggest accomplishments, the enormous D-shaped magnets that will sit inside its new tokamak in Massachusetts. They are made with materials that carry electricity with exceptionally low resistance, allowing them to produce super strong magnetic fields. Then this past summer, scientists with a Shanghai startup, Energy Singularity, published a paper about their own very similar magnet. To Dennis White, a Commonwealth co-founder, this was no mere feat of reverse engineering. Mobilizing the supply chain and manufacturing expertise needed to build and test such a magnet so quickly showed really amazing skill, Dr. White said. In the Southwest, another front in China's fusion ambitions is racing ahead with much less public fanfare. Scientists at the China Academy of Engineering Physics and Sichuan province studied attentively as their counterparts at Lawrence Livermore National Laboratory, California, toiled for years before achieving a tantalizing demonstration of fusion's potential. In late 2022, the lab's lasers caused a pellet of hydrogen to ignite, meaning the reaction produced more energy than the energy from the lasers. A senior scientist at China's academy quickly called for his country to follow suit. Livermore's achievement marked a major scientific breakthrough that will be memorialized in the annals of human history. Zhang Wangyu said in an interview in 2023, China, he said, should strengthen investment in research in fusion energy, taking laser fusion ignition as the main technical approach. Within a year and a half, an enormous X-shaped facility had arisen outside the city of Mianyang. 2017, 2024, 2025. Not being a shit, just genuinely curious. Do you think China has fair elections? Basically, China has elections in the sense that there are local elections where people can run, but the politics is vetted. And that is different than the United States. In America, if you don't run in one of two parties that are both captured by the capitalists, you're considered to be a spoiler. I don't really consider that to be any different. Having two parties that work basically the same versus one party that works basically the same, they're not really any different. I'm sorry. The question you have to ask when comparing the systems is, what are the results? The speed of construction in Mianyang is breathtaking, said Livermore's director Kimberly Bundil, given that it took her lab 20 years to build its ignition facility and get it fully running. So operating that system reliably and effectively over time takes meaningful skills, and these are all lessons China will have to learn along the way. Scientists at the Chinese Academy of Engineering Physics have a reason for secrecy. Like many at Livermore, they work in nuclear weapons research, and laser fusion offers a way to study the conditions of nuclear explosions without detonating actual weapons. As China's nuclear stockpile has grown rapidly under the country's top leader, Xi Jinping, its military has looked for ways to maintain and perhaps upgrade warheads without violating a global ban on test explosions. In recent months, the Academy of Engineering Physics has revealed plans to build another laser ignition facility in Chengdu, Sichuan's provincial capital, a smaller, more commercial sibling to the one in Mianyang. Peng Jianzhu, once an anonymous weapons designer, has transformed himself into an energy entrepreneur, promoting his vision of an untested type of reactor that would combine fusion and fission. China, Dr. Peng wrote in a proposal this year, should aim for commercial application by 2040. The U.S.-China divide in fusion was glaring to Alain Bouclet, an eminent French physicist, when he was in Chengdu in October for the International Atomic Energy Agency's annual fusion conference. There were no Americans, Dr. Bouclet said. So who's the fucking isolated country? Is Xi elected by a popular vote? No. There's no popular vote for premier. The Energy Department under President Trump has discouraged U.S. scientists from attending, 3 researchers told The Times. The department didn't respond to a request for comment. China is now innovative, said Dr. Bouclet, the chief scientist at ITER. It's not simply copying or redoing. I mean, this is the reality that a lot of Americans cannot handle. Fusion research increasingly comes from China. In 2025, 47% of authors of fusion research papers were from China. China's Institute of Plasma Physics announced in November that it welcomed partnership with foreign scientists using its new best tokamak. Doors always open, said Dong Xiaohua, who manages the Institute's overseas collaborations. But as energy security becomes increasingly vital for industries like AI, many in American government and industry now see fusion as a win-or-lose battlefield for global influence. It's fucking over. Whoever wins and gets it together sets the foundation for the rest of the century, says Yuli Ajrakatari, head of Special Competitive Studies Project, a research organization in Washington. The Energy Department in October released a new roadmap for helping the fusion industry grow and commercialize in the 2030s. The document calls for the building and upgrade of several scientific facilities, but it does away with an earlier initiative by the department to lead the design and construction of a pilot fusion plant by the 2040s. Here is China's Institute of Plasma Physics. Do you see stuff like this getting built in America anymore? I mean, it's fucking over. The reason, according to the department, is that American startups are already moving quickly toward erecting such a plant. To some scientists, the U.S. government needs to do more. Investors have poured $14 billion into fusion companies worldwide, with $7.6 billion of that going to American firms. That's a lot of money, but it's going to take a whole lot more of that to get across the finish line, says George Tainan, a plasma scientist at the Massachusetts Institute of technology. Chang Liu worked for years as a physicist at the Energy Department's Princeton Plasma Physics Laboratory. Recently, Dr. Liu tried to recruit some younger scientists for his team, but the lab didn't have the budget, he said. Experiences like this, plus family reasons, led him to move to Peking University, one of China's best. A Princeton spokeswoman said the lab didn't comment on personnel matters. In America, the lack of government support is one reason so many fusion researchers are joining startups, Dr. Liu said. Chinese officials, by contrast, are putting significant resources into a possible ultimate solution to humankind's energy needs, he said. They can really invest in things that are important, he said. So, ladies and gentlemen, there is at least one country in the world that is trying to push for the future. Hopefully, we can get our own country back on the right track. I'm not telling you this because I want you to be like, yay, China. I'm telling you this because it should piss you the fuck off. Not at China, but at your own leaders that will not invest in the future, that want to do tax cuts for the rich, that want to keep us stuck under fossil fuels. Our country is not just a dairy to be milked by billionaires. It is a country with hundreds of millions of people with genuine talent who just need the support. And if China's going to leave us in the dust, so be it. But I would rather we cooperate with China and lead humanity to a better future. I'm an old nerd, which means I think of the world of Star Trek, where the Earth doesn't have any wars. It doesn't have any poverty. We have solved hunger and sickness and ended war. And the United States of America, to me, is against all of that. We stand athwart history trying to keep it in the darkness, and it's fucked up, and I want it to end. All right, everybody, that's going to be it for me today. Here's all my links. Make sure you follow. Thank you for all the support today. I'm going to send you guys, gals, non-binary pals over to my friend, the Queen of Queens, the person who really made Twitch to begin with, motherfucking Casey Tron. She's back. She has prevailed over the dastardly Ethan Klein and has returned unbothered. So I'm sending you to Casey Tron. Make sure you support her. Stay safe. Solidarity forever, my friends. That's how socialism will win. See you later. Free Palestine. And we'll be here tomorrow, normal time, 10 a.m. Eastern, 7 a.m. Pacific.